After getting a second chance at life, I deliberately avoided riding in the same luxury car as my crush, constantly reminding myself that I was just the driver's son. But when Gu Qinghan looked at the empty seat beside her, she called the driver Uncle Moo for the first time. "Uncle Moo, are you leaving already?" My dad was stunned. "Miss, is there something else? Moo Chen just texted me. He said he's busy with classmates and will take the bus home later." Gu Qinghan's face darkened. After coming back to life, things had somehow changed. What could Moo Chen possibly be busy with? He had never missed a single chance to ride with her. Back then, he was always afraid of making her wait too long, so he would get to the car early and sit there waiting. But maybe this was for the best. In her past life, her 5-year relationship with Moo Chen had later become a thorn in Chen Zhe's heart. Since she'd been given another chance, she needed to keep her distance from Moo Chen. That day, I walked for more than 2 hours before finally making it back to the Gu family estate. I slipped past the Gu family's courtyard and headed into the servants' quarters. From the second-floor balcony of the main villa, Gu Qinghan saw me. Her eyes followed me, and then she called out my name. I had my earbuds in and didn't hear Gu Qinghan calling me, so I acted like I hadn't heard anything and walked straight back into the building. Gu Qinghan's face turned cold as she headed for the servants' building. Just as I was closing my door, she pushed against it. "Moo Chen, didn't you hear me calling you?" I was a little annoyed by what she did. "I had my earbuds in, so I didn't hear you. What did you need from me?" Only then did Gu Qinghan realize she had been reborn. At this point, we had only known each other for a short time. We weren't close at all. I kept my tone distant. "Are you kidding? You're the employer, and my dad's the driver. With my status, how could I possibly ride with you? I didn't know my place before. I won't do that again." Gu Qinghan's expression instantly turned cold. "Good. At least you know your place. If Grandpa asks later, you can explain it to him yourself. I'm not the one who kicked you out of the car." After saying that, she slammed the door and left. I stayed calm. In this life, I was never going to make the same mistake again. I'd already applied for housing, but it would still take a few more days before a room opened up. The next morning, I got up early and waited for the bus by the roadside. Gu Qinghan had just gotten up, and from the balcony, she saw me leaving for school. She stared at my back, her expression dark. "Don't think this is going to get my attention." A few minutes later, the bus finally came. It was packed, so I had to squeeze my way toward the back. I just found a place to stand when I suddenly felt someone shove up behind me. I turned around and saw a middle-aged man standing there smiling at me. I tried to move somewhere else, but the guy refused to budge and acted like he had every right to stand right up against me. Right then, out of nowhere, this stunning girl appeared carrying a cactus and squeezed her way over. As she kept saying, "Excuse me," she used the spiky cactus to clear a path. In no time, she was right in front of the middle-aged man, and he got pricked because he reacted too slowly. "What the hell is wrong with you? If you're bringing a cactus on the bus, watch where you're going." The girl planted herself right where the man had been standing and gave him the most half-hearted apology ever. "Sorry, won't happen again, thanks for understanding." The man shot me a look, then stormed off to another spot. I looked at the girl, only to find her looking down at me too. Her features were sharp, like she was looking at an idiot. We locked eyes for a few seconds. "Are you making fun of me? You should be careful on this bus from now on. There are a lot of creeps like that. I've seen it happen more than once." It took me a second to realize that she had just been helping me. "Thanks for helping me. I'm Moo Chen, a playwriting major at A University. What about you?" "Su Xiaowei. I go to B University across the street. I study agriculture." By the time we were talking, the bus had already reached the stop. A university and B University were only 2 streets apart. After getting off, I still wanted to thank her a little more, but Su Xiaowei took a few long strides and was already at the school across the street. I turned and headed back to class too, without thinking much of it. This year's welcome party was especially lively. Gu Qinghan was the finale, and everyone wanted to see what the Gu family's little princess of Nanchang actually looked like. I was the only one who couldn't care less, because I didn't want to see her at all. But Chen Haoxuan insisted on dragging me there. "This only happens once in a lifetime. We worked so hard to get in. If we skip it, college won't feel complete." He dragged me straight to the 3rd row. A senior from logistics was moving snacks and pastries around, busy as hell. When he saw me, he asked if I could help carry a box of bread backstage so the performers who hadn't had time to eat could at least grab something. I took the bread, weaved through the crowd, and headed backstage. Tons of upperclassmen were waiting there to perform. I set the bread on the table by the door and instinctively glanced toward the dressing room inside. In my past life, I had come backstage on purpose to bring Gu Qinghan a berry-flavored bun she liked. Gu Qinghan is allergic to peanuts, and a lot of those breads were nut-flavored. I was scared he'd grab the wrong one, eat it, have an allergic reaction, and mess up the performance. But this time, I couldn't be bothered with him. He's a grown man, after all. There's no way he can't even read the word nuts. Inside the dressing room, Gu Qinghan had no idea what was going on. He still hadn't left by the time someone knocked on the door. Song Yutong was about to get up and answer it, but Gu Qinghan moved faster. He strode over and opened the door himself. "I don't eat that." But before he could finish, he paused. "Who are you looking for?" The guy outside looked startled by Gu Qinghan's expression. "Miss Gu, I heard you're performing tonight." Bang. Gu Qinghan slammed the door shut with a dark look on his face. He turned around and sat back down on the couch, cold enough to freeze someone on the spot. Song Yutong scratched his head. "Qinghan, you don't like Zhao Yanchen?" Gu Qinghan froze for a second. "I didn't see clearly just now." "Then who did you think it was?" Gu Qinghan didn't answer. He was irritated as hell right now. Why hadn't Mukin shown up yet? In his past life, Mukin had already been here by this point. In the end, he couldn't wait any longer. Gu Qinghan finally got up and walked out. And that's when he saw that people outside were already handing out bread. Song Yutong came back with some bread. Eat a little and hold yourself over. If we go out for food now, we won't have enough time. Let's eat after the show. Gu Qinghan took the bread and looked at it, only to realize it was nut-flavored. His face darkened even more. It wasn't until he went on stage to sing that Gu Qinghan finally saw me. The guys in the audience were all cheering for Gu Qinghan's entrance, while I was sitting there with my head down playing on my phone. I was probably annoyed by the noise, because I even put my earbuds in. After Gu Qinghan finished singing First Love, the whole place was completely fired up. A lot of people came up on stage with flowers. Gu Qinghan had already received several bouquets, but he still didn't step off the stage right away. He didn't even know why. He just couldn't stop looking in my direction. At that moment, in the third row of the audience, Shen Haoxuan came back carrying 2 bouquets. He stuffed one into my arms. Muchen, I'm going up to give Gu Qinghan flowers. You coming with me? I handed the flowers back to Shen Haoxuan. Was he kidding? Give flowers to Gu Qinghan? I'd rather give them to a dog. I glanced at the stage and suddenly remembered that Song Yutong had helped me out a lot in my past life, so I said, sure, let's go together. At that moment, Gu Qinghan suddenly thought that in his past life, he hadn't accepted my flowers. This time, he might as well take them. After all, he knew I really did love him. Even if he didn't love me, he still had some feelings for me. Gu Qinghan stood there staring at me as I walked up with the flowers. He didn't even realize it himself, but when I reached him, he naturally freed up one hand and stretched it out, ready to take my flowers. But instead, I walked right past him and handed the flowers to Song Yutong behind him. I smiled and said, that performance just now was amazing. Can I give these flowers to you? Song Yutong froze for 2 seconds before taking them. Of course, thanks. After giving him the flowers, I turned around and walked off the stage. I didn't even give Gu Qinghan a single glance. Song Yutong met Gu Qinghan's gaze, looking completely confused. Gu Qinghan suddenly turned to him. What's going on between you and Mukin? Song Yutong looked speechless. What do you mean, what's going on? I'm not even close with him. Qinghan, don't tell me he did all this on purpose just to get your attention. Who does he think he is? Why would I ever pay attention to him? By the time I got back to the Gu residence, it was already 10 at night. Dad Mu came over the second he saw me. Mukin, did you see Miss Gu at school today? She didn't have me pick her up, and now it's already past 10 and she still isn't back. Her phone's off too. Madam Gu was looking for her everywhere. I pulled out my phone and opened the freshman group chat. You can tell Madam not to worry. They're probably out doing karaoke. Okay. I'll go let her know right now so she doesn't send someone over to question you later. In the group photos, I also saw a handsome guy sitting next to Gu Qinghan. That was Chen Zhe. Sure enough, they still ended up together. The next morning, Madam Gu was furious about Gu Qinghan not coming home the night before. I was worried she'd drag me over for questioning, so I got up early and left. After getting on the bus, I spotted Su Xiaowei right away. Today, she was carrying a crystal-clear succulent. I was worried I might run into that middle-aged man again, so I immediately walked over to Su Xiaowei and greeted her with a smile. Su Xiaowei quietly shifted over a little, basically sheltering me inside. I was genuinely touched by how thoughtful she was. I took the initiative to start a conversation. Sis Su, what's that plant you're holding? It's so pretty. I stared at it for a long time, but I didn't reach out and touch it. That succulent looked a lot like the gift I got when I graduated in my past life. Su Xiaowei said, it's called Neon Light Haworthia. Do you like it? I nodded. Yeah, it looks like crystal. It's gorgeous. Before I could finish, Su Xiaowei pushed it toward me. Here, take it. It's yours. I instinctively reached out and took it, a little stunned. You really mean it? Su Xiaowei didn't show much expression. You like it, don't you? Just take it. I have plenty at home. That's when I remembered she was a student in the College of Agriculture. She was probably really good at growing stuff like this. Last time, she was carrying a cactus, and a little succulent probably wasn't worth much anyway. I happily accepted it. Thanks, Senior Su. I'll buy you milk tea next time. Su Xiaowei looked at me for a long moment, then pulled out her phone. Then don't go back on your word. Add me first. I took out my phone too and added her. Okay, I won't. The bus got to the stop pretty quickly. This time, Su Xiaowei didn't leave right away. She actually stopped on purpose to say goodbye to me, which surprised me a little. After waving goodbye to Su Xiaowei, I carried the succulent to class. Shen Haoxuan rushed in right at the last second and dropped into the seat next to me, looking excited. I stayed up late last night watching all the gossip in the group chat. I heard that little Gu princess is dating the campus heartthrob from Thankyou. Of course I knew. The hottest guy at Thankyou was Chen Zhe. He was supposed to study abroad, but after his father got into trouble, he couldn't go and ended up taking the college entrance exam instead. So he reluctantly enrolled at Thankyou. School had just started, and things weren't looking good for Chen Zhe's family. He wanted to latch on to Gu Qinghan, a super rich heiress, and Gu Qinghan had even fought with her family over him, and refused to go abroad. The two of them hit it off right away. They were probably all lovey-dovey in Chen Zhe's rented apartment right now. Shen Haoxuan looked at my calm expression and seemed speechless. Mu Chen, you're not shocked at all? Gu Qinghan is actually dating someone. What does the rich girl's love life have to do with me? If you've got time to gossip, you might as well pick up another side job. Shen Haoxuan nodded. True. She can date whoever she wants. After a moment, Shen Haoxuan spoke again. Mu Chen, is this neon light Haworthia yours? Damn. You keep telling me you're broke, and then you show up to class with a plant that costs 4 figures? Now I'm the one who's shocked. Are you kidding me? It's just a tiny little succulent. How could it possibly cost 4 figures? Shen Haoxuan studied it for a full minute. I looked it up online for a long time and found out this succulent really wasn't cheap. With quality like this, Su Xiaowei must have put a ton of care into raising it. Then I pulled out my phone, opened Su Xiaowei's WeChat, and sent her a photo of the neon light Haworthia. Senior, what time do you get out this afternoon? I'll bring the plant back to you. Su Xiaowei replied with a question mark. Didn't you really like it? I already gave it to you. Why bring it back? It's too expensive, and I'm worried I won't be able to keep it alive. I should just return it to you. A while later, Su Xiaowei finally replied, Nope. Then she forwarded me the neon light Haworthia care guide. Just follow this. If you don't get something, ask me. I put my phone away and looked at the succulent in front of me. My whole expression changed, but that wasn't even the end of it. Shen Haoxuan suddenly stared at my neon light Haworthia again. Then he hit me with another one. Mu-chen, why does this flower pot look like agate? I clutched my chest and told him to stop talking. I didn't have class that afternoon, so I carefully carried that plant back to my room like it was treasure. My stepmother, Zhang Lan, who lived next door, stood outside the window and called out to me. Mu-chen, Madam wants to talk to you. The second I heard Madam Gu, I felt irritated on reflex. In my past life, during those 5 years I was with Gu Qinghan, Madam Gu always made trouble for me whenever Gu Qinghan wasn't around. The dorm room I'd applied for wouldn't be ready for another week, so I still had to stay here for 7 more days. I walked up to Madam Gu and asked obediently, What would you like me to do, madam? If I can do it, I won't say no. Qinghan skipped class again. The counselor called me today and said she hasn't gone to class for 2 days straight, and school just started. Madam Gu sounded heartbroken, but it didn't move me at all. Because I knew there was no way the school counselor would have called Madam Gu to report that Miss Gu was skipping class. Who would dare mess with the Gu family's little princess? Whether she went to class or not, who would dare say a word? Isn't Mu-chen at the same school as Qinghan? Some of their classes even overlap. Could you keep an eye on her for me? The second she skips class, text me. Come on, let's add each other first. I knew exactly what Madam Gu was really mad about. It wasn't that Gu Qinghan skipped class. It was that she skipped class to go on dates with Chen Zhe. The same thing had happened in my past life too. But back then, I really liked Gu Qinghan, so I told her about it. After that, Gu Qinghan would show up in class first, wait for me to take a photo so Madam Gu could check in, and then slip out. Later, Madam Gu found out, and dumped all her anger on me. This time, I wasn't going to help Gu Qinghan again. I was just about to refuse when Zhang Lan reached out and smacked me on the back. It's just taking a photo of Miss Gu. That's not even hard. Don't worry, madam. Mu-chen can definitely do it. As she said that, she used her own WeChat to scan Madam Gu's, and then pushed Madam Gu's contact card to me. I walked out with Zhang Lan, my face dark. I'm not doing the photo thing. You said yes to it, so you do it yourself. After saying that, I turned around and went back to my room. I understood exactly what Madam Gu was trying to do. I'd been going out of my way to get close to Gu Qinghan lately, so there was no way she hadn't noticed. And Gu Qinghan hated being watched more than anything. So by having me secretly snap photos of her, Madam Gu could make Gu Qinghan hate me, and also stop her from getting close to Chen Zhe. A little after 10 that night, Gu Qinghan finally came back. The second she got home, she got into an argument with Madam Gu. They fought for nearly an hour before Gu Qinghan stormed out of the villa. She went straight to the gazebo by the small building next door. That gazebo faced the window of my room. In my past life, I used to secretly watch Gu Qinghan from that window all the time. Gu Qinghan stared at the window with a cold, heavy gaze, counting in her head. Every time she got to around 20, the driver's son would come out to find her, bring her something to eat, hand her an umbrella, or just come out to check on her. But this time, with a soft bang, the window she'd been staring at suddenly shut. Right after that, the curtains were drawn too. Gu Qinghan froze for a second, looking totally stunned. With a dark expression, she walked over and knocked on the window a few times. I hadn't expected Gu Qinghan to come knock on my window, so I stood there inside for a few seconds before heading out. Miss Gu, were you looking for me? Gu Qinghan looked at me, her expression complicated. Why did you shut the window? Because I value my privacy. If people can see into my room, that's not exactly great, is it? Gu Qinghan's face turned cold. I wasn't acting the way I had in my past life anymore, but she still thought this had to be some little trick to get her attention. Then keep your window shut from now on. Don't open it. That hot-tempered rich girl is seriously annoying. Gu Qinghan suddenly stopped in her tracks and turned back around. My mom told you to take pictures of me in class, didn't she? I froze. How did you know? Relax. I'm not going to secretly film you. I never did before, and I won't start now. Gu Qinghan let out a cold snort. The way she looked at me turned a little strange, and after a few seconds, she finally said, Fine. If she told you to take pictures, then do it. I'm not skipping class anyway. After saying that, she turned to leave the yard. She remembered how, in her past life, I helped her brush off her parents and got scolded for ages because of it. This time, she didn't really want me getting chewed out like that again. But then I suddenly called out to her, Wait! Gu Qinghan stopped. Just as I thought look flashed across her face. So he still likes me after all. With that arrogant look on her face, she asked, What is it? Then she saw me holding up my phone, camera pointed right at her. Miss Gu, you just said I could film you, right? Say it one more time, please, so nobody comes after me for it later. Gu Qinghan snapped. I said you can film me. Film me if you want. Happy now? Then she turned and strode off. I happily saved the video and went to sleep, totally not expecting Gu Qinghan to be so mad she wouldn't sleep all night. The next day, Gu Qinghan had an early class. After getting in the car, she instinctively looked to her left. I was supposed to be sitting there like always, waiting for her, but I wasn't in the car. Not long after the car started moving, they passed me walking on foot. Gu Qinghan's eyes immediately landed on the milk in my hand. I've always liked drinking milk in the morning. Every day after waking up, I'd soak 2 bottles in warm water and take them with me to drink in the car. Gu Qinghan hadn't had that kind of milk in a long time. She stared at it for 2 seconds, then suddenly said, "Pull over." Then she said to me through the window, "Get in." I shook my head. "Thanks, Miss Gu, but no, I'll just take the bus." It was the first time Gu Qinghan had ever tried to be nice to me, and I actually turned her down. She let out a cold snort. Whatever. Then the car sped off. I made it to the bus right on time, and sure enough, Su Xiaowei was on it too. I walked over, pleasantly surprised. "Morning, senior." Su Xiaowei quickly put her phone away. If I'd looked a little closer, I would have seen that she had just been scrolling through my social feed. I handed her a bottle of warm milk. "Here, senior, have some milk." After riding the bus together a few times, we'd gotten pretty familiar. She pulled out her phone and showed me her beautiful garden. After we got off the bus, she said, "If you ever get the chance, I'll take you to see my garden. There's even a little fish pond." While we were talking, Su Xiaowei suddenly stopped. I sensed something too, looked up, and saw Gu Qinghan standing nearby with 2 friends, glaring darkly at the milk in Su Xiaowei's hand. One of her friends kept making snide comments. "Qinghan, that's your family's driver's son, right? Didn't he used to follow you around all the time? So what, he switched targets now?" The words, "switched targets," clearly got to Gu Qinghan. Right then, she had no idea that I'd been reborn too. She stared at the milk in Su Xiaowei's hand, then looked at me with a cold laugh. "So that's why you stopped hitching rides with me? You like some other woman now? Too good for me all of a sudden?" My face stiffened. "Miss Gu, what are you even talking about? What, am I wrong? When you first came to the Gu house, weren't you waiting in the car for me bright and early every single day? You used to bring me this milk too. So why are you giving it to someone else now?" Thinking about who I used to be, my face turned ugly. I really regretted ever liking Gu Qinghan. What was wrong with her today? Did she take the wrong meds or something? Gu Qinghan looked Su Xiaowei up and down again and sneered. "You probably don't know this yet, but he's my family's driver's son." I felt mortified. "I'm sorry, Senior Su." Su Xiaowei reached out and ruffled my hair. "You don't need to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. I know exactly what kind of awful person Gu Qinghan is. But I really didn't want to drag Su Xiaowei into this, so I urged her, 'Senior, you should go to class. Don't be late.'" Su Xiaowei frowned and asked, "Who is she?" I went silent for 2 seconds. "She's a psycho." Su Xiaowei paused, then asked hesitantly, "Is she your girlfriend?" Of course not. Seeing how eager I was to clear things up, Gu Qinghan gave a cold snort. Like I'd ever fall for a driver's son. I was furious. "Right. You're way too good for a driver's son. Then what? The person who spent 5 years with you was a ghost. What is wrong with you? If your head's messed up, go get it treated." Across 2 lifetimes, this was the first time Gu Qinghan had ever been yelled at by me. She stood there frozen, staring at me. Gu Qinghan finally shut up, and Su Xiaowei fell silent too. I looked embarrassed. "Bye, Senior Su. I'm heading to class. You should hurry too." Without waiting for Su Xiaowei to respond, I turned and ran straight through the school gates. I didn't dare look at her, afraid I'd see shock and contempt in her eyes. Back when I was with Gu Qinghan in my past life, I'd had more than enough of that kind of look. Gu Qinghan stood there with a dark expression, still unwilling to stop staring at Su Xiaowei. Su Xiaowei didn't look happy either. Holding the milk, she glared at Gu Qinghan. Once my figure disappeared from sight, she turned and left too. That morning was a general lecture. After I sat down, I opened my chat with Su Xiaowei. I wanted to apologize, but after typing and deleting over and over, I still couldn't send a single word. No matter what I wanted to say, none of it felt right. Just as I was about to lock my phone, a message from Su Xiaowei popped up. "What's wrong?" That's when it hit me. I'd been typing for almost 10 minutes without sending anything, and the typing status had probably been visible to Su Xiaowei the whole time. My face turned red from embarrassment. "Senior, I'm really sorry about what happened earlier. I hope you won't take it to heart." "Didn't I already say it wasn't your fault? You don't need to apologize." My eyes stung a little. Compared to Gu Qinghan, Senior Su's personality was just so much better. With the way Gu Qinghan had talked in front of her, I had no idea whether Su Xiaowei had misunderstood anything. What if she thought I was the kind of guy who flirts with every girl he sees? While I was thinking that, someone walked past my desk and bumped it. I looked up and saw Gu Qinghan walking by me with a cold face. She went and sat in the back row. Gu Qinghan actually came to class today? Wasn't she supposed to be off seeing Chenze? So what she said last night was real. I froze for a few seconds, then immediately picked up my phone, snapped a photo of Gu Qinghan right after she sat down, and quickly sent it to Mrs. Gu. She said I could take pictures and send them to Mrs. Gu to keep an eye on her, so fine, I'll take the pictures. Less trouble that way. The second Gu Qinghan sat down, Tang Xiaoren told her, "Mu Chen was just taking pictures of you on his phone." Gu Qinghan finally looked a little less tense. "I know, I'm not blind." For the next 2 days, whenever I had class with Gu Qinghan, I'd casually snap a photo to get Mrs. Gu off my back. Before long, rumors started spreading in the campus gossip group that I liked Gu Qinghan and was secretly taking pictures of her. Shen Haoxuan scrolled through the gossip posts and showed me. "They're saying you're into Gu Qinghan. That you're not just chasing her, you're stalking her too. You take pics in class, after class, and even run all the way across campus just to secretly take pictures of her." I was speechless. So that's why people have been staring at me these past couple days. But they're seriously exaggerating this. Someone's clearly trying to smear me. It's all a misunderstanding. This rich girl keeps skipping class, so Mrs. Gu asked me to keep an eye on her and send her a class photo every day. Shen Haoxuan looked stunned after hearing that. That kind of mom is terrifying. No wonder Miss Gu is so rebellious. Mu Chen, aren't you going to explain yourself? Everyone totally has this wrong, and they're saying some really nasty stuff. I shook my head, because I knew the rumors about Gu Qinghan wouldn't last long. In 2 weeks, Chen Zhe would suddenly leave the country because something would happen at home. By then, Gu Qinghan wouldn't have any chance to skip class and go see him. Mrs. Gu would relax, and I wouldn't have to keep taking pictures every day. Speak of the devil, at lunch I ran into Gu Qinghan again. It felt like bad luck. In my last life, if I wanted to see her, I had to go out of my way to stage a chance encounter. But after being reborn, I kept running into her for no reason at all. You've been taking pictures of me these past couple days, and you're not even going to report back to me? Did you save my photos in your gallery too? I gave her a disgusted look. You keep skipping class, so Mrs. Gu made me take attendance pics for you. Now you've actually been showing up to class every day and she's satisfied. What exactly is there to report? Relax, I didn't save a single photo of you. Gu Qinghan's eyes flickered like she was a little disappointed. You took that many pictures and didn't save even one? What for? Why would I save your pictures? To ward off evil? Gu Qinghan actually laughed from being mad. I don't believe you. Mu Chen, do you like me and just won't admit it? I'll admit it. In my past life, I really did like Gu Qinghan at this point, but now, I'm sure I don't. I pulled out my phone and opened my chat with Mrs. Gu. If you don't believe me, look for yourself. Gu Qinghan snatched my phone and saw that the chat log was full of pictures of her in class or after class. Every single one was just a blurry back view or side profile. There wasn't even one clear front-facing shot. Gu Qinghan's face darkened instantly. Wow. So you were helping her keep tabs on me and taking pictures of me, but you couldn't even be bothered to get my face in the frame? How badly do you not want to look at me? I stayed expressionless. Because your face isn't exactly that great to look at anyway. Gu Qinghan gave a cold laugh and nodded. Then tell me whose face is nice to look at. Su Xiaowei's? Why are you dragging Senior Su into this out of nowhere? You call her Senior Su so affectionately. I'm older than you too, so why don't you call me that? What exactly is going on between you two? I reached for my phone. Whatever our relationship is, it has nothing to do with you. Gu Qinghan's face turned dark. She whipped her arm and slammed my phone onto the ground. Crack! The screen shattered. I quickly picked it up. Gu Qinghan, are you insane? The screen's broken and you're paying for it. I'll send you the bill later. And don't even think about dodging it, Miss Gu. With that, I left. I didn't want to stay around Gu Qinghan for one more second. Gu Qinghan stomped her foot in frustration. Damn it. Before this, when she found out I was taking pictures of her, she'd actually been pleased with herself. She thought I had a crush on her, so of course I'd want to take the pictures and sneak back later to look at them. But now she'd just managed to piss herself off instead. On my way back to school, I cut through the food street. I had no idea Su Xiaowei from the school across town was also there having lunch with her classmates that day. Su Xiaowei saw me first, but she didn't call out to me. She'd spent hours at the agriculture college that morning, and her clothes were dotted with mud. She didn't want to ruin her image in front of me, and besides, I didn't look like I was in a great mood. Once I disappeared into the crowd, Su Xiaowei noticed her classmates at the same table were still staring after me. That's the guy you were talking about, right? He looks like such a good kid. Hard to believe he's actually a stalker. Su Xiaowei couldn't help asking, what are you guys talking about? What stalker? Gu Qinghan, the big freshman celebrity. You know who she is, right? People are saying the son of her driver's family has a crush on her. He goes to the same school as her and has been secretly taking pictures of her every single day lately. One of the girls pulled up a post. Look, Gu family's rich daughter had only been on campus for 2 weeks, and some obsessed admirer was already secretly photographing her. This is the guy. In the post was a clear shot of me holding up my phone and taking a picture of Gu Qinghan's back. Su Xiaowei thought back to what Gu Qinghan had said that morning. Could Mu Chen really like Gu Qinghan? She frowned. No matter what, those posts weren't good for Mu Chen. Better have someone take them down. When I got back to school, I saw the post accusing me of secretly photographing Gu Qinghan too. But it got deleted pretty quickly. Everything connected to me was wiped clean too. Shen Haoxuan was stunned. Is this what the Gu family can do? They can scrub the whole internet? I stared at my phone, unsure. I didn't think Gu Qinghan was the one who did it. But if it wasn't her, then who would do something like that? On the third day, I had just gotten to the classroom door when I saw Gu Qinghan striding down the stairs. It's Chen Zhe's birthday today. I'm going to buy him a gift. Just cover for me with my mom today. I'll behave and go to class tomorrow. She said it like it was the most natural thing in the world, like helping her was just my job. I raised my phone and snapped a picture of Gu Qinghan. Then I said coldly, done, you can go. As I spoke, I opened the chat. I was just about to send that truancy photo to Mrs. Gu when Gu Qinghan suddenly snatched my phone. Why are you being so unreasonable? I already told you it's Chen Zhe's birthday. I'll be back by 8 tonight. Is it really that hard to cover for me with my mom for once? I let out a cold laugh. Yeah, it is. Mrs. Gu isn't easy to deal with. I learned the hard way in my last life what happens when you lie to her. There was a sharp edge in Gu Qinghan's eyes. And you still say you don't like me? The second I mentioned celebrating Chen Zhe's birthday, I could see the jealousy in your eyes. Miss Gu, narcissism is a disease. You should get that checked out. Gu Qinghan spun around and stormed off with my phone. I'll be back at 8 tonight. Come find me then if you want your phone. I'll explain things to my mom myself. I angrily ran after her, but Gu Qinghan got into the car, hit the gas, and drove off. First come, first served. Got it? Who says you can make me leave? My family was stuck in the middle between Mrs. Gu and Gu Qinghan, completely at their mercy. I made up my mind. I had to get my dad to quit, and then I'd pick up more part-time jobs and start making money myself. Back then, I really thought Mrs. Gu had finally accepted him. But in the end, she was the one who ruined his health. And after Gu Qinghan found out the truth, all he said was that there was nothing he could do. His mother brushed the whole thing off with just a few words. Now the one who got drugged was Chenzei. I had no idea what Gu Qinghan was going to do. I snapped out of my thoughts and got ready to head out, but the housekeeper rushed over and stopped me. Mu-Chen, ma'am wants to talk to you. Come with me. I followed the housekeeper to the front hall, where Mrs. Gu was having breakfast with Chenzei and Gu Qinghan. I never really had anything against you. Qinghan is just still too young, and I was worried he'd let a relationship get in the way of his studies. Mrs. Gu had completely changed her attitude, and Chenzei looked stunned. Auntie, I understand. I'll make sure Qinghan stays focused on school. The truth was, even though the two of them had slept in the same bed last night, Gu Qinghan hadn't let Chenzei touch him. Then Mrs. Gu slid a bowl of bird's nest porridge in front of Chenzei, her eyes full of warmth. Drink some porridge and put some weight on. You're way too skinny. Chenzei smiled, took it, and started drinking obediently. But beside him, Gu Qinghan's brows were tightly furrowed. Chenzei was right there next to him, and his mother had finally accepted him. So why was he still feeling so irritated? That was when I walked in. The second Gu Qinghan saw me, he sat up straighter. I didn't even look at him. Ma'am, did you need something from me? I heard about what happened yesterday. Qinghan took your phone so you couldn't keep taking pictures and watching him in class, right? I nodded calmly. Gu Qinghan frowned, clearly annoyed. Mom, are you seriously going to let him keep watching me? Of course not. I'm just saying you can't bully Mu-Chen like that. Why would you just snatch his phone? It's so inconvenient not having one. As she spoke, Mrs. Gu took out a brand new phone. I saw that your screen was cracked, so I got you a new one. It's also my way of thanking you for keeping an eye on Qinghan these past few days. Starting today, you don't have to watch him anymore. Chenzei will do it for me. By then, Chenzei had already finished the porridge and flashed a sweet smile. Don't worry, Auntie, I'll make sure he studies hard. I sneered inwardly, but on the outside I looked perfectly polite. Thank you, ma'am, I'll head to school now. Gu Qinghan immediately got to his feet too, looking a little rushed. It's getting late, I need to go too. Chenzo stood up as well, but the next second he clutched his stomach. Qinghan, my stomach hurts so bad. Don't panic, I'm taking you to the hospital right now. Driver, hurry and take us there. The driver glanced at Chenzei through the rearview mirror and could tell he was in bad shape. Mr. Chen, did you eat something bad? No, I don't think so. All I had today was a bowl of bird's nest porridge. As he said that, he looked at Gu Qinghan in shock. Gu Qinghan's face darkened because he had finally remembered something from his past life. He remembered bringing me back to the Gu house once. After eating with his mother, I'd had terrible stomach pain too. They ran every test they could, and it took 3 days before they finally found out I had taken an overdose. Gu Qinghan and I had a huge fight over it. He thought I'd taken the pills myself. I suspected Mrs. Gu, but he never believed me. And now, looking at Chenzei's symptoms, they were exactly the same as what I went through. Qinghan, could there be something wrong with the bird's nest porridge I had? Stop the car, driver, take AZ to the hospital first. I'll be there right after. He strode straight back to the Gu family estate. At that moment, Mrs. Gu was telling the maid to clear the table. Wait, leave the bowl Chenzei used. Mrs. Gu stared at Gu Qinghan in surprise. Tell me the truth. Did you put something in Chenzei's porridge? Qinghan, you're hopeless. Chenzei has a stomachache, and you're already accusing me of drugging him? I'm your mother. How could you question me like this? That's right. In my past life, Mrs. Gu used those same words to brush Gu Qinghan off. Back then, he chose to stand by her side. But now, overwhelming regret and guilt crashed over him. We had been together for 5 years, and I still never got pregnant. Mrs. Gu had said back then that she didn't mind my background and was willing to let me marry into the family, but only on one condition. We had to have a child. Yeah, you're my mother. You'd never do something like this. You said today that you'd accept me being with Chenzei and later you'd agree to let us get married. But the condition is that we have to have a child of our own, right? Mrs. Gu froze. She had no idea how Gu Qinghan knew what she was planning. Are you even human? How can you be this cruel? I had expected the chaos in the Gu family, but I had no interest in it. In this life, nothing about the Gu family had anything to do with me anymore. The moment I got on the bus, I instinctively looked for Su Xiaowei. Sure enough, she was standing at the stop, looking right at me. I squeezed my way over. Morning, senpai. Morning. I took your hat home with me. I washed it yesterday, but it's still not dry. I'll give it back to you tomorrow. Okay. Mu-Chen, do you have class this afternoon? No, but I do have a part-time job at a restaurant. What restaurant? It's a place called Human Fireworks. You've probably heard of it, right? Su Xiaowei paused. Heard of it? That restaurant was owned by her mother. When we got off the bus, Su Xiaowei asked one more question. So from now on, you work there every night? Yeah, my shift there is from 7 to 9 p.m. Su Xiaowei nodded and didn't say anything else. After that, we split up and each went to school. Gu Qinghan didn't show up at school the entire day. Honestly, I figured he probably wouldn't be coming for the next few days either. Chenzei was going to be hospitalized for at least 3 days, and after that, he'd probably be leaving the country with his mother. In my past life, Gu Qinghan had always resented Chenzei for leaving without a word. He had carried that grudge for years. Now, at least, he finally had the chance to say goodbye properly. After class, Shen Haoxuan was still gossiping with me. I heard from the gossip group that Chenzei from the tech university next door and Gu Qinghan are officially together. Somebody saw them at the hospital owned by the Gu family, and apparently... The more Shen Haoxuan talked, the quieter he got, leaning in to whisper in my ear. Apparently Chenzei had some kind of allergic reaction after taking pills, so he got admitted and put on an IV. Seriously, who would have thought? These rich kids are into some wild stuff. I was stunned. Your gossip group even knows that. They even know Chenzei took pills. Doesn't the Gu family's hospital keep things confidential? Mu Chen, that's where you're wrong. Yeah, the hospital belongs to the Gu family, but there are other shareholders too. And there are so many people crushing on Miss Gu. They're jealous of Chenzei and want dirt on him. Just bits of gossip. When enough people dig, they'll find anything. The second Shen Haoxuan said that, it all clicked. Back when I was in the hospital in my last life, rumors about me were everywhere. Stuff like I was just a driver's son, shallow, trying to marry up, even seducing Miss Gu. And later, the rumors got even crazier. People said my college entrance exam score was fake, and that I'd stolen someone else's identity to get into school. I shook my head and sighed. Don't get involved in this stuff, I told Shen Haoxuan. I can listen, but that's it. The Gu family isn't someone people like us can casually talk about. Shen Haoxuan nodded while looking at his phone. Relax. I know what I'm doing. Gu Qinghan stopped coming to school and she wasn't even going home, so I got to enjoy 2 peaceful days. But pretty soon, I ran into her again. This time, it was at the restaurant where I worked part-time, Human Fireworks. I was in my black server uniform, clearing plates and silverware. Gu Qinghan showed up with Song Yutong and Chu Ruoyao and headed to one of the private rooms. On the way there, Gu Qinghan glanced over and saw me carrying dishes. Song Yutong looked shocked. Qinghan, Mu Chen is actually working here part-time? Is he really that broke? Chu Ruoyao nudged Song Yutong. Why do you talk so much? Come on, let's go. Song Yutong glanced at Gu Qinghan, could tell she was already in a bad mood, and didn't say anything else. The last couple of days had been rough for Gu Qinghan. Chenzei had spent 2 days in the hospital on an IV drip. The doctor said the drug had done serious damage to his body, and he'd need time to recover and slowly nurse himself back to health. But in the short term, he'd definitely lose his fertility. And by short term, the doctor really meant a year or 2. But Gu Qinghan knew that in my previous life, I hadn't gotten her pregnant for a full 5 years. If Chenzei ended up the same way, sooner or later he'd find out the truth. And when that happened, how was she supposed to explain it? Chenzhou was discharged today and went back to the Chen family home to recover. Gu Qinghan kept what Madame Gu had done, the drugging, a secret. She didn't know how to explain any of it to Chenzei, and she didn't know how to face him now that he looked so drained. More than that, all of a sudden, she really wanted to see me. Watching me in the distance, carrying plates, humbly explaining the dishes to customers, Gu Qinghan suddenly felt a wave of anger. She dropped Song Yutong and Chu Ruoyao right there and strode straight toward me. That day, I ran into a seriously annoying middle-aged customer. Instead of ordering, she just kept asking if I was new, saying she'd never seen me before, and asking if I was a college student from a nearby campus. I smiled and nodded. Yes, ma'am. So, what would you like to order? She smiled and said, You're this young and already working in a restaurant? Must be hard up for money, huh? Got a lot of student loans? Can you even pay them back? The smile on my face was starting to crack. I forced myself to stay calm. That's really none of your concern, ma'am. Why don't you take a look at the menu first and I'll come back in a minute to take your order. I turned to leave, but that customer suddenly called out again. I never said I wasn't ordering. What kind of service is this? Seriously, I'd only been working there for 2 days, and this was the first time I'd met someone this difficult. I was about to go get the floor manager when I saw Gu Qinghan walking over with a cold look on her face. She suddenly kicked the woman's table and sent the wooden dining table flipping over on the spot. I took 2 steps back and stared at Gu Qinghan in shock. Miss, what are you doing? As I said that, I hurried over to pull Gu Qinghan away, but instead she stepped in front of me and glared at the middle-aged woman. If you're gonna eat, then eat. If not, get the hell out. The middle-aged woman shot to her feet and pointed at Gu Qinghan. Whether I eat or not is none of your damn business. You seriously kicked my table? Do you even know who I am? The woman had 2 people with her, and all 3 of them stormed up to Gu Qinghan. Gu Qinghan had been bottling things up for days, and this time, she was done holding back. Without another word, she swung and landed a hard punch right in the woman's face. I was completely stunned. And just like that, chaos broke out. When Song Yutong and Chu Ruoyao saw what was happening, Song Yutong blurted out, "Holy shit," and rushed over to help without hesitation. Chu Ruoyao was right behind her. The whole scene got even more out of control. I quickly called the manager on duty. He came rushing over with 4 or 5 security guards, and after a huge struggle, they finally managed to separate everyone. The middle-aged woman had been beaten until her face was bruised and swollen, because from start to finish, Gu Qinghan had focused on beating just her. Her clothes were all wrinkled up, and she shouted furiously, "Call the cops! I'm calling the cops!" The whole thing caused a huge scene. People all over the restaurant turned to look and started whispering among themselves. As soon as the restaurant manager heard what happened, he rushed out of his office in a panic. One look at Gu Qinghan standing in the middle of the crowd, and his heart practically stopped. He hurried over to her. With a shocked look on his face, he said, "Miss Gu, what brings you here today? You didn't even give me a heads up." There was a trace of fear in his voice. After all, someone like Gu Qinghan, a rich heiress, had a private room permanently reserved for her at this restaurant. As one of the restaurant's premium members, she was always someone the manager paid special attention to. The last thing he wanted was to offend a VIP guest like her over an accident like this. But the moment the manager got a good look at Gu Qinghan, his face went pale and cold sweat started breaking out. Her hair and clothes were a mess. It was obvious she'd just been in a serious fight. Who the hell had a death wish big enough to lay a hand on the eldest daughter of the Gu family? The manager's heart started pounding, and he stammered, What exactly happened here? The manager's voice was full of panic and worry. He knew exactly who Gu Qinghan was, Madame Gu's most precious daughter. If Madame Gu found out her beloved daughter got into a fight here and even ended up with a cut on her lip, the consequences would be unthinkable. Madame Gu would definitely go ballistic. She might even show up in person demanding answers. The middle-aged woman was still yelling, "You're the restaurant manager, right? Good. Then listen up. I was having a perfectly normal meal here, and what happened? Your waiter was rude to me, and then his friends started beating the hell out of me. I'm calling the cops, and I'm suing your restaurant." The restaurant manager frowned and turned to look at me. I was just about to explain when Gu Qinghan stepped in front of me again. Staring at the middle-aged woman with a dark look in her eyes, she said, "What does any of this have to do with the waiter? I wanted to hit you because your face pissed me off. You want to sue me? Go ahead. Try it." Song Yutong frowned and immediately pulled out her phone. All right. I'll have my lawyer come deal with you people right now. We're hungry. We're going to eat." The restaurant manager knew very well these girls were not people he could afford to mess with. "Let's get you squared away. We're starving. We're going to eat." The restaurant manager knew exactly what was going on. These ladies were definitely not people you wanted to mess with. He made a snap call and immediately had the bodyguards take the 3 women to the office in the back. Then he turned to face me. In a slightly stern voice, he said, "Come here. Listen carefully. Make sure Miss Gu is taken care of. No mistakes, got it?" I nodded right away. "Got it." Seeing that, the manager finally relaxed a little, then quickly followed the 3 women who had been beaten up into the office. He knew this absolutely could not blow up. Otherwise, it would not only hurt the restaurant's business, it could also bring him a whole lot of unnecessary trouble. More importantly, he did not dare offend a family like the Gus. So right now, the best move was to start with the 3 injured guests and talk to them properly about compensation. He wanted to calm things down as fast as possible. Worst case, they paid more money. That was still way better than offending the Gu family. The restaurant, Human Fireworks, was members only. Because the privacy there was so good, a lot of rich people and celebrities liked to eat and meet there. Even the private rooms there cost 5 figures a day to rent. A lot of people came there hoping to do business with celebrities or get connected to the wealthy. If word got out that one of their members got beaten up in the restaurant, the damage to business would be huge. The floor supervisor followed behind Manager Wang and quietly asked, "What should we do about that new intern?" Manager Wang was already irritated. Even though this was really the customer's issue, that new intern had caused trouble on his very first day, he said impatiently. "Pay him what he's owed and tell him not to come back." The supervisor nodded. "Okay, manager, I'll take care of it." The supervisor came out looking for me, but I was nowhere to be found. Later, he found out I knew Gu Qinghan, and that she'd already called me into the private room. So he went over to Gu Qinghan's room, saw the door was shut, and heard her voice coming from inside. I hit her. "So what, Mu Chen? And you're lecturing me? I was helping you. Unless you'd rather she paid off your loan?" "So that's the kind of person you are." I looked at her speechless, but still kept my cool and said, "I'm not blaming you. It's just that today's mess got a little too big, and when I get back, Madam might question me again." The second I mentioned Madam, Gu Qinghan suddenly slammed the table with a loud bang. Song Yutong frowned. "Qinghan, calm down." Gu Qinghan let out a cold laugh. She stared at me and asked, "Are you really that obedient to my mom? Whatever she tells you to do, you do?" Seeing how quiet and obedient I was just made Gu Qinghan even angrier. She thought to herself, "Too bad I'm not the one who was reborn. I don't know that in my previous life, Madame Gu set me up and even ruined my body. I lost the ability to have children. If I knew that, maybe I wouldn't still be listening to my parents now." I said calmly, "I'm not listening to Madam. I'm just tired of this. The reason I don't want her coming after me is exactly why I wish you'd stop causing trouble in front of me. Gu Qinghan, I really don't want to know what you did. If you could just stay far away from me, that would be best." Gu Qinghan glared at me with red eyes. "That's just something you're saying out of anger. I don't believe you. I always liked keeping an eye on him. I wouldn't let him stay up late, drink, or go head-to-head with his parents. I cared about him too. When he got sick and was in the hospital, I stayed by his side day and night. He was in my heart. I really cared about him." Gu Qinghan sat there staring straight at me. "You're saying all this on purpose just to make me mad, aren't you, Mu Chen?" I said blankly, "Think whatever you want. Miss Gu, I'm still on the clock. I should get back to work." With that, I opened the door and walked out, only to lock eyes with the floor supervisor standing in the hallway. The supervisor looked awkward and said, "Mu Chen, you know Miss Gu?" I nodded a little awkwardly. "We were classmates." The supervisor felt like we looked like way more than just classmates, but he did not ask any more questions. He said awkwardly, "Mu Chen, today's mess got pretty serious. It's going to reflect really badly on the restaurant. The owner doesn't know yet, but once he finds out, he's definitely going to hold us accountable. You're just an intern, so you won't be held responsible, but after this, you probably can't keep working here." He put it as gently as he could, but I understood. I'd only been working here for 2 days, and I was already getting fired. It was unexpected, but somehow it also made sense. This was my first time looking for a part-time job, and I never thought it would end like this. I felt discouraged, but I pulled myself together pretty quickly. I apologized to the supervisor right away. "I'm really sorry, supervisor. You're the one who hired me, and now I've caused you trouble. The supervisor waved his hands quickly. No, it's okay. You don't need to apologize. We all know this wasn't your fault. But there's nothing we can do. The people with memberships here are all big shots. In this line of work, sometimes you just have to swallow the humiliation. Some service jobs even have something called a grievance bonus. That tells you just how much nonsense service workers have to put up with on a regular basis. The inside of the car was dim and yellow, like even the lighting had absorbed the heavy mood. Gu Qinghan sat there with a dark expression, like a volcano about to blow. She had just been through a brutal fight. The skin between her thumb and index finger had split open from clenching her fist too hard. Bright red blood slowly seeped out, making it look even more shocking. There was also a dark bruise at the corner of her mouth, left by a hard punch. It was already starting to swell and looked pretty nasty. Seeing that, a server quickly brought over some ice and carefully handed it to her, motioning for her to put it on her face. Song Yutong and Chu Ruoyao stood off to the side. There were scratches on their hands and necks too, marks left from the chaos earlier. Still, compared to Gu Qinghan, they were in better shape. Most of Gu Qinghan's injuries were on her face, so they stood out a lot more. The two of them had no injuries on their faces, so if you ignored the scratches, no one would even know they had just been in a fight. Gu Qinghan casually tossed the ice onto the table. It hit the surface with a sharp clack. In the quiet private room, the sound felt especially jarring. Her face darkened even more. She spoke coldly. He saw me fight for him. He saw I got hurt like this, and he still didn't even bring me any medicine. Her voice was full of bitterness and disappointment. Even the ice had been brought by another server. Mu Chen never showed up, not even once. It felt like a huge rock was pressing down on Gu Qinghan's chest, and she could not shake it off. Her thoughts drifted back to her past life. Back then, I was so attached to him. One time when he got hurt, my eyes turned red with panic. Tears welled up, and in the end, I just broke down crying. I rushed out to buy medicine, then came back and carefully applied it for him, my hands gentle the whole time. I was so gentle with him, like I was scared I'd hurt him even a little. Even when his parents chewed him out, I'd wait quietly by the door and comfort him the second he came out. Back then, I hadn't started working part-time yet. Life was simple. My whole world revolved around him. Gu Qinghan's heart jolted. So much had changed in this life. Everything was different from the last one. Could Mu Chen have been reborn too? The thought had barely crossed his mind before he shut it down. No way. Gu Qinghan instinctively thought, if I really had been reborn, with how much I hate my parents, there's no way I'd still be living with the Gu family, let alone listening to Madame Gu. Just then, Song Yutong looked at Gu Qinghan and frowned slightly. Qinghan, you really were a little too impulsive today. You know this restaurant belongs to the Su family, right? If they take this to your father, that's going to be a huge problem. There was worry in his voice, mixed with a little blame. Gu Qinghan froze, surprise flashing across his face. He couldn't help but ask, this restaurant belongs to the Su family? Su Xiaowei's face popped into his mind instantly. Which Su family? Could it be the same one Su Xiaowei came from? Song Yutong nodded. His family had been in the restaurant business for generations, so he knew the restaurant scene in Haicheng like the back of his hand. He leaned in and lowered his voice. The Su family's main business is AI and new energy. They're a huge name in both fields. But a few years ago, they suddenly got into the grain and restaurant business too. I heard one of the younger family members was into it, so they invested in this place. No idea if it has anything to do with Su Xiaowei though. I mean, Su Xiaowei has the same last name. Stuff like that happens. Chu Ruoyao frowned from the side and said hesitantly, that can't be right, can it? The Su family has a massive empire. They're involved in all kinds of industries. They're seriously gonna let one of their kids study agriculture? And that Su Xiaowei, didn't I hear she grows peanuts or something? That's way too random. In his mind, kids from wealthy families usually went straight into the family's core business. Studying agriculture was honestly hard to imagine. Song Yutong rubbed his chin, clearly thinking it over. No clue, honestly. My family has never had any dealings with the Sus. They're not originally from Haicheng. They're from Beicheng, and most of their power is still centered there. As locals born and raised in Haicheng, Gu Qinghan and the others had barely ever crossed paths with the younger generation of the Su family. Still, all of them felt like it probably wasn't that Su Xiaowei. I mean, what top-tier wealthy family lets their daughter go study farming? That was basically unheard of. After hearing all that, Gu Qinghan suddenly stood up. I'm going out to take a look. With that, he strode toward the private room door, moving a little faster than usual. After Gu Qinghan left, the room went quiet for a moment. Chu Ruoyao looked at Song Yutong, scratched his head and said softly, Yutong, don't you think Qinghan's attitude toward Mu Chen has been kind of weird? There was a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Song Yutong's expression immediately darkened, and there was clear frustration in his voice. He's stuck between Mu Chen and Chen Zhe, acting like he cares about both and can't let either one go. If he keeps this up, he's gonna lose both of them, and by then it'll be too late for regrets. As he spoke, something complicated flashed through his eyes, like he was deeply disappointed in Gu Qinghan. Xu Ruoyao looked at Song Yutong and vaguely felt like he was upset with Gu Qinghan. But he didn't say anything else. He just sighed quietly to himself. Meanwhile, I changed in the staff locker room and neatly folded my uniform into the locker. I packed up my things and got ready to leave. Then I picked up my phone and immediately frowned. There were several messages from Gu Qinghan on the screen. It was from his other QQ account. Mu Chen, where did you go? Are you still in touch with Su Xiaowei? Was this part-time job something she helped you get? Mu Chen, don't take the bus anymore. I'll have Uncle Mu drive you to and from school. I looked at the messages, completely baffled and honestly kind of speechless. In my last life, Gu Qinghan always looked down on me. He'd even say awful things like I only rode to school with him on purpose to get his attention. But now, I stopped doing that. And he's still not happy? And on top of that, why was Gu Qinghan suddenly bringing up Su Xiaowei again? What did this have to do with Senior Su? I shook my head helplessly, didn't reply, and just left the restaurant. Gu Qinghan searched all over the restaurant, his eyes full of urgency, but I was nowhere to be found. Then a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. What if Su Xiaowei had taken me away? After all, this restaurant was very likely one of the places her family had invested in. The moment that possibility hit him, it felt like an invisible hand had clenched around his heart. His irritation got stronger and stronger. He was too restless to calm down. The food in front of him had completely lost its taste, and he couldn't swallow a bite. Even the private room he'd been sitting in now felt like a cage, making it hard to breathe. He couldn't sit still anymore, so he took his two childhood friends, Song Yutong and Chu Royao, and moved out to a table in the main dining area. Honestly, only those two had the patience to put up with him. If it were anyone else, they probably would have lost it over his constantly changing mood by now. Seeing how out of it Gu Qinghan looked, Chu Royao couldn't help feeling bad for him. After calling over a server and ordering, he casually asked, "What about that new intern from a university? He's our classmate. Is he off work already?" Honestly, he didn't even need to explain. Everyone in the restaurant already knew what their connection was. After all, just a little while ago, they'd gotten into a full-on fight with other customers over that intern, and the whole place knew about it. When the server heard them ask, she leaned in slightly and lowered her voice. "I think he already left. Because of what happened earlier, our manager fired him." There was a trace of sympathy in her tone. Chu Royao froze the second he heard that. He instinctively glanced at Gu Qinghan, eyes full of shock, and blurted out, "What? He got fired?" His voice rose without him realizing it. The server nodded gently, confirming it. Song Yutong frowned hard and looked at Gu Qinghan with obvious blame in his eyes. "Qinghan, you really went too far this time." He knew perfectly well that this was my first day on the job. I wanted to use this part-time job to toughen myself up and help cover my living expenses. But because of Gu Qinghan's impulsive stunt, I got fired. He knew I had to be devastated. Gu Qinghan's expression changed instantly, and a wave of guilt rose in his chest. But he quickly got stubborn again and said, "If he got fired, then he got fired. A place like this has a messy work environment anyway. It's not right for him." Even so, there was still uneasiness in his eyes. He couldn't help spiraling. Although he said that, his eyes still showed a hint of unease. He couldn't help but start overthinking. Why would he suddenly take a part-time job? Could it be that the Gu family wasn't paying Mu Chen's father enough, so his dad couldn't give him enough living expenses, and that was why he had no choice but to work part-time? But even though Gu Qinghan acted tough on the outside, his heart was anything but calm. He sat there like he was on pins and needles. A moment later, he couldn't sit still anymore. He stood up and strode toward the restaurant entrance, ready to leave and come find me. Just as he reached the door, Song Yutong reacted fast and stepped forward to block him. Song Yutong looked at Gu Qinghan and said sternly, "Qinghan, I really don't think you should go looking for Mu Chen. Didn't Chen Zi just get out of the hospital? You should go see him." In Song Yutong's eyes, Gu Qinghan was now wavering between Mu Chen and Chen Zi. That kind of behavior was hurting both guys and throwing his own life into chaos. Gu Qinghan's face darkened the moment he heard that. "Why are you stopping me too? You're not going to let me go find him? Song Yutong, don't tell me Mu Chen gave you flowers at the freshman gala, and now you've got a thing for him too?" There was anger and accusation in his voice, like he had already decided Song Yutong had ulterior motives. Song Yutong frowned, his face turning grim as he looked at Gu Qinghan. "Qinghan, listen to yourself. You're being way too impulsive. Calm down." Song Yutong realized that the second Mu Chen was involved, Gu Qinghan turned into a completely different person, reckless, emotional, and nothing like his usual rational self. On top of that, Gu Qinghan had always been cold and self-centered. He rarely saw things from other people's point of view, and because of that, he often hurt or pushed people away without even realizing it, doing whatever he wanted and never thinking twice. "Stay out of it. I know exactly what I'm doing." After saying that, he violently shook off Song Yutong's hand, walked straight to his car, yanked the door open, started the engine, and sped off in a cloud of dust. Shu Royao watched the scene with a conflicted look and said to Song Yutong, "Yutong, why did you start arguing with Qinghan? You know what he's like. The more you say, the less he'll listen." He paused, then asked in confusion, "You never used to get involved in stuff like this, so why are you speaking up today?" Song Yutong stayed silent for a long time. "I just can't stand watching it. All he's doing is causing more trouble for other people." He didn't need to say who other people meant. Chu Royao knew he was talking about Mu Chen. Hearing that, Chu Royao couldn't help but glance at Song Yutong a few more times. Something about him today felt off. Usually he was the quiet one, the kind of person who stayed on the sidelines. But right now, he was suddenly acting like he had to step in. I had only been out of the restaurant for a little while, and my chest was still full of frustration. I walked straight toward the bus stop. Standing under the shelter, I tilted my head slightly and looked off into the distance. One by one, the streetlights flickered on, and the dim yellow glow falling across my tired face only made me look even lonelier. Just then, a red sedan came flying over like a gust of wind and slammed to a stop not far from the bus stop. The door flew open, and Gu Qinghan stepped out in long, quick strides. His lips were still bruised purple from the fight earlier, but compared to how he looked back in the restaurant, the hostility in his eyes had faded. In its place was a messy mix of urgency and confusion. He rushed up to me, breathing a little hard.
Why didn't you reply to my messages? Didn't you see them, or you just didn't want to answer?
There was a faint trace of hurt in his voice, subtle but impossible to miss. I slowly turned to look at him, calm and expressionless. My eyes didn't ripple in the slightest, like Gu Qinghan was nothing more than a complete stranger. Ms. Gu, do you need something? My tone was steady, but it hit him like a blade of ice, stabbing straight into Gu Qinghan's heart. Hearing such a cold response from me, Gu Qinghan felt a sharp sting in his chest. He couldn't stand how distant I was being. His brows drew tight, and a flash of anger crossed his face. Mu Chen, I got into that fight because of you. Don't you have anything to say to me? His voice rose without him realizing it, like he thought that would make me take him seriously. His almost interrogating tone left me speechless for a moment, and the irritation inside me only grew stronger. I bit my lower lip slightly, and a flicker of annoyance flashed through my eyes. Still, I honestly hadn't expected Gu Qinghan to throw punches for me tonight. That part had caught me off guard. I stayed quiet for a few seconds, took a deep breath, and forced myself to calm down. I looked at Gu Qinghan and said softly but with absolute certainty, Ms. Gu, don't ever do something like this for me again. I'm not going to feel grateful. It's just going to feel like trouble. I stared straight into Gu Qinghan's eyes, like I wanted every thought in my heart to reach him without anything left unsaid. So I said exactly what he least wanted to hear. I don't need you doing any of this for me. Honestly, if you hadn't shown up today, I would have been fine. The restaurant wouldn't have ended up in this mess either. Do you even realize how much trouble your impulsiveness caused for everyone else? Even now, we're still working with PR to deal with the fallout, and I lost my job because of it. My voice was gentle, but every word landed like a needle in Gu Qinghan's chest. He stood there like he was frozen in place, the anger on his face slowly giving way to shock. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something. Even though my voice was calm and my emotions seemed steady, he could clearly feel the disgust and impatience I was hiding beneath that composed exterior. All this time since being reborn, it seemed like he had still been living in the past. In memories from my past life, he still couldn't get used to how different I was now. The fact that I actually hated him? To him, that was unthinkable. When I saw Gu Qinghan didn't respond, I gently pushed past her and said evenly, if there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Then I turned to go. Seeing that, Gu Qinghan snapped back to her senses and grabbed my wrist right away, hard enough to feel like she was about to crush it. She stared straight at me, panic flashing in her eyes, and blurted out, why did you suddenly start working? Are you that short on money? In my past life, I'd never taken a part-time job before, and that clearly threw her off. She grabbed me and my body stiffened for a second. I turned and gave her an answer she never expected. I don't want to go back to the Gu house, and I don't want to see you. Her hand loosened instantly. She just stood there, frozen, her expression too complicated to describe. Shock, disappointment, and a kind of helplessness I'd never seen on her before. I shook her hand off. Right then a bus pulled into the stop. I didn't even look at the route number. I just hurried on. Gu Qinghan, who was always proud and full of herself, stayed where she was, watching me leave with this hurt look in her eyes. I could feel her stare like chains locking me in place, but I never looked back. I've always been soft-hearted. Back when I first came to the Gu family, whenever I saw Gu Qinghan fighting with her mom, running away from home, or storming out into the rain, I always felt bad for her. I'd follow behind her, try to comfort her, buy her water, bring her an umbrella, but none of that kindness ever came back to me. Gu Qinghan was used to being a rich, spoiled heiress, and she treated other people's kindness like it was just a given. In my past life, I was a total lovesick idiot. But after getting a second chance at life, I wasn't about to make the same mistake again. At the same time, on the other side of the city, Su Xiaowei hurried to the back entrance of Renjian Yanhuo restaurant. The security guard at the door saw her and gave her a slight nod, like he knew her well. She didn't stop. She pushed the door open and walked straight inside. By the time Su Xiaowei got there, the chaos in the restaurant had already been dealt with. The 3 customers who got beaten up refused compensation and kept demanding the police be called. Manager Wang had no choice but to bring in the legal team, and he also contacted the Gu family. At the end of the day, Gu Qinghan caused the trouble, and once the restaurant couldn't handle it alone, they had to bring the Gu family in too. The restaurant was willing to pay and cooperate, sure, but if the demands got unreasonable, they couldn't agree to that. After arriving, Su Xiaowei first went to her private room and set her bag down. Then she headed to the front dining area, scanning the servers in uniform one by one. When she didn't see me, she frowned and went to the kitchen to check on the back-of-house staff. A lot of people there knew Su Xiaowei and everyone thought the boss was doing an inspection, so they all started working even harder. Just then, Manager Wang, who had just finished dealing with everything and was coming out of the office, spotted Su Xiaowei and immediately panicked. He hurried over and asked carefully, Miss Su, are you here to hold me accountable? This really was my oversight, but I had no idea that new part-timer was Miss Gu's boyfriend. Otherwise, I never would have hired him. Su Xiaowei stopped, turned to look at him with a blank expression, and fixed him with a dark, heavy stare. Manager Wang had been in the business for over 10 years, but this was the first time a young person had ever made his skin crawl. A little flustered, he explained, We've pretty much got this handled. We've already passed it to legal and PR, and they'll be here soon. Su Xiaowei cut him off. The Miss Gu you mentioned, that's Gu Qinghan from the Gu family in Haicheng, right? She came here? That was when Manager Wang finally realized he'd been explaining all this to someone who didn't even know what had happened. She definitely wasn't here to call him out. He let out a breath and wiped non-existent sweat off his forehead. Then he said to Su Xiaowei, yeah. Earlier tonight, Miss Gu came in with some friends. Her boyfriend happened to get into an argument with a customer here, so Miss Gu rushed over and beat them up. Then Manager Wang told Su Xiaowei everything that had happened in the restaurant that night, start to finish. The more Su Xiaowei listened, the tighter her brows drew together. In a cold voice, she asked, "Those 3 customers were openly harassing our employee and acting like that, and we're still supposed to welcome members like them in the future. Do we really need those 3 customers that badly?" Manager Wang froze. After a hesitant pause, he said, No, not really. Su Xiaowei's voice turned even colder. Blacklist them. And what about that part-timer? His name is Mu Chen, right? Manager Wang looked even more shocked. Yes, Miss Su. You know him too? Su Xiaowei looked annoyed. She'd been out in the fields with her advisor that afternoon looking at plants, so she got there late. Who would have thought something like this would happen? She rubbed her forehead and said, "Being a part-timer isn't easy. Don't blame him." Cold sweat started pouring off Manager Wang. All he'd wanted was to hire a part-timer, and somehow he'd ended up bringing in someone way above his pay grade. First Miss Gu fights for him, then President Su steps in and says no one can blame him, and the worst part was, he'd already fired the guy. Wiping sweat off his face, Manager Wang said, "President Su, I already let that part-timer go. His pay's been settled and he's already left." Su Xiaowei frowned at him, then sighed. "Fine. If he's fired, he's fired. Just handle the rest of this. I'm leaving." With that, she turned and hurried off. Manager Wang quickly called after her, "President Su, why not stay and eat before you go? We launched some new dishes today. You can try them." Su Xiaowei hurried back to the private room, grabbed her backpack, and strode out. "No thanks. Next time." Su Xiaowei had texted me, but I never replied, and she started to worry. Other than my QQ account, she didn't have my phone number. She knew where I lived, but that was Gu Qinghan's house, and showing up there wouldn't be appropriate. So in the end, Su Xiaowei just took a cab to the area near Dongshan Villa District. By the time she got out of the car, it was already after 9 at night. She stood by the main entrance to the neighborhood and checked her phone. I still hadn't replied. But soon enough, she spotted a figure on the side of the road. It was me. I was back. I was irritated. I had already decided not to dwell on the grudges from my past life, but Gu Qinghan just kept coming after me again and again. Then I suddenly stopped, and a terrifying thought hit me. What if Gu Qinghan had been reborn too? No, that couldn't be it. If Gu Qinghan had really come back, she should have gone after Chenzi and stopped him from leaving the country. Her one true love was right there beside her. There was no reason for her to keep coming after me, the stand-in. Just as I was thinking that, I suddenly heard a cool, clear female voice calling my name in the night wind. I looked up and saw Su Xiaowei standing under a dim streetlight not far away. "You're messing with me," the substitute again. I was thinking that, when suddenly in the night breeze I heard a cool female voice calling my name. I looked up and saw Su Xiaowei standing under a dim street lamp not far away. Su Xiaowei had a complicated look on her face. She walked up to me and stared at my face. I widened my eyes in surprise. "Senior Su? What are you doing here?" She paused for 2 seconds. "It's my birthday today. There's a party. Wanna come?" I was even more surprised. "Oh, okay. Well, happy birthday, Senior." I pulled my backpack over, rummaged through it, but found nothing. Finally, I took off the little chick keychain from my bag and handed it to her, blushing. "Happy birthday, Senior. I didn't know, so I didn't get you a real gift. This little chick keychain, in my past life, Gu Qinghan took it. This time I was planning to keep it for myself." Su Xiaowei looked at the keychain in my hand. It was yellow, with a red ring around its neck, a straw hat on its head, all fluffy, and a little bell hanging from its neck. Super cute. Su Xiaowei reached out and, without changing her expression, took the keychain. I felt her warm fingers brush against my hand. I flinched and pulled my hand back. Su Xiaowei looked at me and saw my cheeks turn red. She lowered her head a bit and quickly clipped the keychain onto her crossbody bag. She said softly, "This is great. I really like it." I felt a little embarrassed giving such a small thing, but Senior Su seemed to really like it. Su Xiaowei asked me, "We're going to sing karaoke. You want to come?" Even though she phrased it as a question, her eyes were fixed on me, full of hope. And honestly, I wasn't in a great mood either. If Mrs. Gu found out that Gu Qinghan got into a fight at the restaurant because of me, who knows if she'd secretly mess with my food. I nodded right away. "Yeah, let's go. Now?" Su Xiaowei nodded and booked a ride on her phone. Right then, she kind of regretted it. She should have taken her Maybach with her when she ran away from home after fighting with her parents about studying agriculture. That car was a gift from her grandpa, not her parents' money. She should have been able to drive it, but now she's always taking Mooching around in cabs. She's gonna rent a place outside, take Mooching out everywhere. Yeah, she should just buy a new car. She's got some money anyway. While thinking it over, she sent a message to her group chat. "It's my birthday today, Langston KTV. You guys have to come." There were only 7 people in the group. Some were still out in the field, some were cramming on papers. When they saw the message, they got hyped. "Chi Mei, you finally remembered to treat your brothers and sisters? Miss Sue's treat? Definitely gotta show up. I haven't eaten yet, gonna order something expensive." "Wait, Chi Mei, if I remember right, isn't your birthday in July?" "That doesn't match up. Is it really your birthday?" The car arrived. Su Xiaowei opened the door for me, watched me get in, then walked around to the other side. After she got in, she replied in her phone, "I said it is. Just come, you'll see." Then she added, "I'm bringing a friend. Don't take any videos." After sending that, she turned off her phone. I was still feeling pretty down. Su Xiaowei turned to me. "You want some milk tea? I heard it makes you feel better." I asked her back, "Do you want some? I'll buy it for you." When we got there, a few of her research group members had already arrived. 3 guys, 3 girls, plus Su Xiaowei and me, 8 total. They got super excited when they saw Su Xiaowei. "Chimei, you're finally here. We've been waiting for you." A slightly chubby girl with glasses rushed over trying to hug Su Xiaowei. Su Xiaowei reacted fast. She pulled me aside and frowned. "Slow down. You might bump into someone. Mu Cheng's so skinny. If he gets knocked over, that'd be bad." Then everyone in the room noticed me behind Su Xiaowei. Their eyes widened a little in surprise. One tall guy said, "Xiaowei, did you bring your boyfriend?" And everyone started teasing. No way, Chimei has a boyfriend?" I blushed a little and looked at Su Xiaowei. She had a smile in her eyes. She pulled me over and said, "Don't talk nonsense. His name is Mu Cheng. He's a freshman at a university across the street. Not my boyfriend." Everyone went, "Oh," with a knowing look. Like not yet, but probably soon. They'd never seen Su Xiaowei close with any guy before. She was always aloof, distant with everyone. It was the first time her group members saw her with someone, and a male student at that. They exchanged glances, signaling each other. Look at her, faking a birthday just to ask him out. She's definitely into him. Everyone's eyes were full of gossip. One girl handed me a Coke and said super eagerly, "Hey there, Junior, I'm Xiaoyumo. You can call me Sis." Before I could answer, Su Xiaowei said coldly, "You've been collecting little brothers since school started. You've got a whole truckload by now." Xiaoyumo argued, "It's different. This one looks cuter." Su Xiaowei whispered to me, "Ignore them. Here, have some fruit." She put the fruit platter in front of me and started peeling an orange. Everyone in the room watched us with weird looks. It made me a little uncomfortable. They couldn't say it out loud, but they were chatting like crazy in the group. "Whoa, Chimei's got good taste. That guy's really cute. Is she chasing him? Should we give her a push?" They talked a lot, but Su Xiaowei didn't reply. Then after that one message from Xiaoyumo, Su Xiaowei instantly typed back, "How do we push?" The group exchanged looks. Xiaoyumo flipped her hair and looked at me. She turned down the music and grinned. All right. Party game time. Truth or dare? Who's in?" Someone in the group chat complained, "Can't you come up with something new? Same old stuff." Xiaoyumo glared, then shot Su Xiaowei a look. "I'm literally helping you chase your man. You want me to spell out how to play too?" Then she yelled, "Chimei, you in!" Su Xiaowei looked a bit helpless, then turned to me. "Mu Cheng, wanna play?" Truth or dare is super popular at college parties, but I'd never actually played it before. Xiaoyumo was thrilled. "Then everyone's playing. I'll get the cards." We all sat around the tea table on the couch. I leaned toward Su Xiaowei. "Senior, it's your birthday today. Didn't you get a cake?" That reminded her. She almost forgot it was her birthday. She paused for 2 seconds. "I had cake at noon, so no cake tonight." She felt a little guilty saying that, but I didn't think much of it. I didn't doubt her though, still. Just a normal person. Who would have thought someone would even fake their birthday? Then Xiaoyumo came over with the cards. 8 of us sat around the sofa in a circle. Xiaoyumo happened to be sitting on my other side. She excitedly put the cards on the table and shouted, Come on, draw your cards!" Their 7th sister finally has a crush on a freshman, so they've got to go all out to help her. After each of us drew a card, Xiaoyumo asked loudly, "Who's got the ace? Show us your card." Everyone took a look at their cards. Su Xiaowei flipped her card over and put it on the table. Hers was a 2. This is my first time playing this kind of game. I flipped my card over and it was the ace of spades. Su Xiaowei raised an eyebrow. She turned her head to look at Xiaoyumo. Xiaoyumo gave her an innocent look. Like I didn't rig it. It's all fate. Xiaoyumo brought over 2 small boxes and asked me, "Freshman, do you pick truth or dare?" I hesitated for a moment. Then I said, kind of unsure, truth. The second I said that, all the upperclassmen's eyes lit up. "Oh, truth, little freshman, no takebacks." One of the senior girls smiled, took a slip from the truth box and handed it to me. "Here, freshman, open it up and see the question." I took the slip and slowly unfolded it. Xiaoyumo leaned in and read it out loud. "When was your first love?" Everyone stared at me intensely. Even Su Xiaowei next to me slightly turned her head and couldn't help but look at me. I paused for a few seconds. In this life, I've definitely never had a first love. But if we count my past life, then I started crushing on Gu Qinghan when I was 18, and we got together when I was 19. It's not like I lost my memory. I remember everything from my past life clearly, after going through a relationship like that. Such a bad one. I can never go back to that innocent, naive first love state. I smiled a little awkwardly, and vaguely said, "Back in school." Didn't even say when. That's basically saying nothing at all. Everyone looked at me, then at Su Xiaowei. Su Xiaowei's expression stiffened a bit, and her eyes turned cold. "Back in school? So when exactly?" Xiaoyumo coughed twice, then asked curiously, "Freshman, we've only been in school for a month. Do you mean recently? Who's your girlfriend?" I said a little sheepishly, "Senior, not this time." "So it was a high school sweetheart?" Then a girl said, "You know what? I actually liked a boy when I first started kindergarten. Does a crush count as first love?" Another guy joined in. "By that logic, I had a crush when I was 3 years old." Hearing that, Su Xiaowei's expression softened again. "Now that you put it that way, it kind of makes sense." Xiaoyumo was speechless. All right. You all have first loves. Everyone does. Fine, let's keep playing." In the second round, a senior girl got the ace. She chose dare. Xiaoyumo read the slip out loud. "Pick someone and sit on their lap for 5 minutes. Everyone started teasing. Oh no, don't pick me, my old knees can't take it. Amid the laughter, the girl happily said, I picked the fragrant sister. Then she chose another girl. The game quickly continued. This time Su Xiaowei got the ace. She flipped her card, smiled, and said, I'll do dare. Xia Yumo immediately handed her the draw box and gave her a sneaky wink. Xia Yumo's wink was way too obvious. Su Xiaowei looked a little helpless. She followed Xia Yumo's glance, picked a slip, and opened it. Xia Yumo took it and read loudly, Interlock fingers with the person on your right for 10 minutes. Everyone immediately started cheering. Whoa, seventh sister, you're so lucky! A big burly senior guy to Su Xiaowei's left shouted, Hey, don't go too far. You'll scare the freshmen away. How about this? Seventh sister, hold my hand. It sweats a little, but that's fine. You don't mind, right? Come on, seventh sister. With that, he reached over to grab Su Xiaowei's hand. Su Xiaowei quickly shoved her hands into her pockets. The guy still grabbed her arm and tried to pull it out. Don't be shy, I don't mind. Why should you? Come on, seventh sister. Su Xiaowei backed away helplessly. Stop it, I'm not holding your hand. Xia Yumo came over and stopped the guy, then said they had to follow the rules. You get it, freshman? Xia Yumo said with a smile. It's just a game. You don't mind, right? I watched them mess around. I kind of envied their friendship. I shook my head a little shyly and said, No, I don't mind. Then I even reached out my hand on my own. Smiling with my eyes, I looked at Su Xiaowei. Su Xiaowei's ears turned a little red. She said calmly, Thanks. Then her right hand and my left hand held together. One by one, my fingers slipped between hers. I gently held her soft, pale hand. The moment our hands touched, my face turned bright red instantly. This was my first time interlocking fingers with a girl. This kind of handhold is really intimate. Usually only couples do it. But in my past 5 years, I never even held hands like that with Gu Qinghan. The game was still going on, but my heart was beating fast. Almost all my senses were focused on my left hand that she was holding. My whole body was stiff with nervousness. My cheeks were flushed. Su Xiaowei, on the other hand, sat there looking calm. But if you knew her well, you could tell from her slightly stiff movements and a bit of a delayed reaction that she wasn't her usual self either. Too nervous. This feeling is just too weird. I secretly moved my hand, tried to pull it back. But Su Xiaowei was holding on too tight. I couldn't get it back. So Su Xiaowei and I just stayed interlocked for 10 minutes. When we finally let go, the palm of her hand was a little sweaty. I wasn't the only one nervous this time. Su Xiaowei's heart was also pounding. The next few rounds, neither Su Xiaowei nor I got picked. While watching the upperclassmen goof around, Su Xiaowei also took a moment to get me a cream puff. She quietly asked if I was hungry, or if I wanted something else. I took the puff from her, and whispered, No thanks. This is fine. I went to my part-time job today, got fired in less than 2 hours. I was feeling pretty down, so I really hadn't eaten much tonight. But now, hanging out with Su Xiaowei and the others, playing games and singing, I'm feeling a lot better. I've never really had many friends, so even when I don't want to go back to the Gu family, I honestly don't know where else to go. Now that Su Xiaowei is willing to bring me out, I'm really grateful to her. As for why Su Xiaowei helps me so much, I'm not overthinking it for now. I've always been insecure because of my family's financial situation. And then in my past life, I went through that failed relationship with Gu Qinghan, whether in life or in love. Already insecure as I was, I'd gone through a failed relationship with Gu Qinghan in my past life. Honestly, whether it was life or love, I've always had pretty low self-esteem. Deep down, I always felt like nobody would ever truly like me. Especially someone like Su Xiaowei, pretty, sweet, and way out of my league. Thinking about that, I turned to look at her. She was gorgeous, great figure, and just such a good person. Gu Qinghan couldn't even compare. And just like that, my mind drifted back to her. My mood tanked instantly. Su Xiaowei picked up on it right away. She could tell something was off. She turned to look at me, concern in her eyes. Hey, you okay? My face went red. I shook my head. I'm fine. I dropped my gaze, feeling a little awkward. Great. Ever since we held hands earlier, I literally could not look Su Xiaowei in the eyes. Even just seeing her hands made me flustered. Anyway, we'd been playing Truth or Dare for like a dozen rounds now. It was getting late, and everyone there, every single senior, was basically a human farm animal raised by their agriculture professors. Up before dawn to dig in the fields, dragging themselves back covered in mud after dark. It was already 11 p.m. The farmhands needed to head back, or the dorms would lock up and they'd have nowhere to go. Xia Yumo turned to Su Xiaowei. Sis, you heading back to the dorm? Su Xiaowei used to live in the dorms, even though she had a place over at Dongshan Villa. She just rarely went back there. But lately, for whatever reason, she'd stopped coming back to the dorm altogether. Xia Yumo glanced between me and Su Xiaowei, eyes practically sparkling with gossip. Sure enough, Su Xiaowei shook her head. Nah, I'm walking Mu Chen home. Xia Yumo let out an oh, grinning ear to ear. Okay, we're heading out then. Most of them lived on campus, so they rushed back to beat the dorm curfew. Su Xiaowei walked out of the mall with me and we grabbed a cab. She asked if I had fun tonight. She was watching my face, trying to see if I was still upset. I smiled. Thanks, Xiaowei. Tonight was really fun. She smiled back. Good. I was actually worried you wouldn't be into all the noise. I mean, I came across as the quiet, well-behaved type. She was nervous that KTV might be too much for me. Just then, their group chat blew up. Everyone roasting Su Xiaowei. Our girl's really out here making moves. Youngest one in the group, and she's about to be the first one cuffed. Brothers and sisters, does anyone have connections? Hook me up with a cute underclassman too, please. My peanuts in the field aren't going to harvest themselves. Need a little freshman to help out and, bond over it. Xiaowei, we've got no class Wednesday afternoon. Ask your boy if he wants to do an escape room with us. Let's go full horror mode. The one pushing for the escape room was Xia Yumo, easily the most scheming one of the bunch. She'd never even been in a relationship, but when it came to the theory of chasing guys, She had all 108 moves memorized. Su Xiaowei was riding in the cab with me when she saw the message. She typed back to Xia Yumo, "Escape room works for me." "But why horror? Mu Chen's gonna be scared." Xia Yumo was beside herself. "Girl, are you serious right now? How are you ever gonna find a boyfriend without me? Listen, when you take your crush to an escape room, the scarier the theme, the better. If you're not scared, how are you gonna jump into his arms? Just wait. Bring him Wednesday, leave it to me." Su Xiaowei thought Xia Yumo was a little extra and over the top sometimes, but the KTV thing had actually worked out pretty well. She'd managed to hold my hand after all. And ever since then, I couldn't even meet her eyes anymore. I'd gone all shy out of nowhere. That's a good sign. When Su Xiaowei likes someone, she moves fast. She wasn't the type to drag things out. Because if you wait too long, someone else might swoop in. And then there was Gu Qinghan. Being all vague and wishy-washy with me, Su Xiaowei felt the pressure. With that on her mind, she turned and asked me, "Mu Chen, do you have class Wednesday afternoon?" I blinked. I don't think so. Let me check." I pulled out my phone, opened my schedule, and held it up for her to see. Nothing Wednesday afternoon. Su Xiaowei took one glance at my schedule. She had a photographic memory. One look and she had the whole thing locked in. She asked quietly, "They're saying we're doing an escape room Wednesday. Have you ever been to one?" She was leaning in close, voice low, almost like she was whispering right into my ear. My face turned red instantly. Escape rooms were super trendy and popular. Basically everyone was into them. But I'd never actually done one. I'm more of an introvert by nature, but after tonight I figured hanging out with Su Xiaowei and the crew wasn't so bad. I didn't feel out of place. The seniors were wild enough that I could just go along for the ride. I looked down, face flushed, and said quietly, "Never been. Have you, Xiaowei? Is it fun?" She looked at my expression, and the corner of her mouth curved up. "Never been either," she said softly. "Guess we'll find out together Wednesday." By the time we got back to Dongshan Villa, it was already 11:30. I almost never came home this late, especially in my past life when I'd be back by 6 or 7 every day. But lately, late nights had become the norm. Gu Qinghan was standing at the entrance of the complex, arms crossed. Eyes dark, staring down the road. Su Xiaowei walked me out of the cab, and the two of us headed toward the entrance side by side. Gu Qinghan's expression went cold. She turned and walked away. Su Xiaowei walked me all the way to the gate. I asked, "Do you live around here too?" She actually had a villa here, a gift her grandpa bought her when she decided to enroll at University A. Her grandpa's welcome gift. She'd chosen to study agriculture, which her parents were totally against. They cut her off, said they wouldn't support her financially for all 4 years of college. But her grandpa was fully on her side. He'd gone to the countryside when he was young, loved growing vegetables in his spare time, that kind of thing. The old man adored his granddaughter, so he bought her a villa right nearby. The place was massive. Front and back garden combined, over 200 square meters. Perfect for her to grow whatever she wanted. Su Xiaowei pointed in a direction. "I'm over that way, not far from here." I looked where she was pointing. It never crossed my mind that she meant Dongshan Villa. I figured she lived in one of the neighborhoods over there. With all those lights glowing in the distance, I just assumed it was some regular apartment complex. I said goodbye to her at the gate. "Thanks for walking me back, Xiaowei. I'll head in now." She stopped, nodded, and gave me a little wave. "See you tomorrow." My eyes lingered on her hand. Long fingers, defined knuckles, fair skin. And just like that, I couldn't help but think back to the moment earlier tonight when our fingers had been intertwined. I felt my face go warm, turned around, and headed inside. By the time Gu Qinghan got home, Gu Qinghan's mother had just gotten home from work and was already sitting in the living room waiting for him. Because Gu Qinghan found out that she had drugged Chen Zhe, Mrs. Gu hadn't gone after Gu Qinghan again these past 2 days. Deep down, she was worried that Gu Qinghan might hate her for it. When she saw Gu Qinghan walk in, she set her phone on the table and called out, "Qinghan, come here for a second." Gu Qinghan kept a cold face, acted like he didn't hear her, and walked straight upstairs. Mrs. Gu frowned, held back her irritation, and called out again, "I told you, come here." Gu Qinghan stopped mid-step on the stairs. With a dark look on his face, he turned around and strode over to the couch. He sat down, crossed his legs, looked at Mrs. Gu, and said, "What do you want?" Mrs. Gu sat there with a mocking smile. "What else could it be?" "Of course I'm here to talk about you and Chen Zi getting married." Gu Qinghan froze for a second, then frowned. "My business with Chen Zi is none of your concern." "Marriage? What marriage?" He hadn't even thought about getting married at all. Mrs. Gu sneered. "You were so crazy about Chen Zi before, I thought you were dead set on marrying him. So why are you suddenly so resistant the second I bring up marriage? What exactly are you trying to say, Gu Qinghan?" Gu Qinghan frowned even harder. Clearly annoyed, he snapped, "Can you stay out of my business for once? You were the one who wouldn't let us be together before, and now you're the one pushing us to get married. What do you even want from me?" Mrs. Gu opened a news page on her phone and held it in front of him. "See for yourself." Gu Qinghan grabbed the phone irritably. After one look, his expression changed. "Who leaked this?" The news was full of photos of him and Chen Zhe dating, entering hotels, and even bringing Chen Zhe back to the Gu family's old residence. The Gu family was well known in Haicheng. As the heir to the richest family in the city, Gu Qinghan had always been under the spotlight. Even when he gave up studying abroad and stayed at a university, it made headlines for days. Chen Zhe's father used to be in politics, but he had recently fallen from power and was under investigation, which made this an especially sensitive time. And now Gu Qinghan was dating his son, and had even brought him home to meet the family. Of course, people were going to read into that. Before long, the news blew up everywhere, and people online had already started accusing the Gu and Chen families of colluding for political and business gain. Mrs. Gu let out a cold laugh. Well, there you go. Now the whole world knows you're dating Chenzi. Just what you wanted, right? Happy now? Gu Qinghan's brows stayed tightly knit. He set the phone down and said coldly, Why didn't you have this taken down? No. Is this going to affect the Gu family's stock price? Did his father know about this yet? The more he thought about it, the more frustrated he got. How did this even happen? Who the hell leaked all of this? Mrs. Gu snorted. Who else could it be? It had to be the Chen family. Chenzi was supposed to flee overseas, but now that he's latched onto the Gu family, of course he doesn't want to leave. Mrs. Gu took the phone back and called her assistant to handle it. Then she looked at Gu Qinghan and said, I've already taken care of this matter for you. But as for you and Chen Zhe, you'd better think it through. Gu Qinghan was beyond irritated. So who leaked it? Judging from what Mrs. Gu was implying, maybe it really had something to do with the Chen family. But Gu Qinghan refused to believe Chen Zhe would set him up like that. That same night, Gu Qinghan grabbed his keys and headed out to find Chen Zhe. Just as he was leaving, I happened to be walking in from outside. His headlights flashed across me, so I raised a hand to block the glare and glanced toward the driver's seat, meeting Gu Qinghan's dark eyes head on. I frowned, speechless, and stepped off to the side. Gu Qinghan really wanted to ask what exactly was going on between me and Xiaowei, and why he kept seeing me with Su Xiaowei lately. That had never happened in my previous life. But after thinking it over, he realized he had no right to ask. More importantly, he had just gotten me fired from the restaurant. Even though he didn't show it, he was still worried that I was mad at him. After struggling with it for a while, Gu Qinghan finally drove off. When I got back to the little building, my father, who had been playing chess with the other drivers by the door, immediately stood up. Muchin, you're back. I opened the door to my room and looked at him in surprise. Dad? You're still up this late? My father nodded and said, Come inside. Let's talk. He rarely chatted with me like this anymore. When I was little, we used to talk a lot. But as I got older, those moments became fewer and fewer. Looking at his face now, I couldn't help but feel worried. Dad, did something happen? My father came into the room and sat on a stool. While watching me pack up my school bag, he said, Muchin, there's something I need to tell you. After a brief pause, he finally said, I'm planning to quit. I'm not going to keep working as a driver for the Gu family. My hand stopped mid-motion. I looked at him in surprise. Dad, you don't want to do this job anymore? He used to say the Gu family was actually a pretty good place to work. The housekeeper and the other drivers were easy to get along with, food and housing were covered, and the benefits were solid. More than that, it was easy work with good pay. He'd said before that he could stay here long term. So why quit all of a sudden? My father looked at me and lowered his voice. Mrs. Gu has been making things hard for you lately, hasn't she? And Miss Gu, too. She said things to you, didn't she? A father like him couldn't stand seeing his son suffer. Even if it meant I had to move into the dorms, he was willing to quit. He didn't want me going to school only to be laughed at as some driver's son. He just couldn't bear to let his son be wronged. After a long silence, I asked, What about Aunt Lan? Have you talked it over with her? My father nodded and sighed. She doesn't want to quit, so I'll go first and head back to our hometown for a while. She'll keep working here. But Zhang Lan wasn't my real mother, so her choice didn't affect me that much. My father and I sat facing each other and talked things through. He comforted me, saying, Don't worry about me. After I quit, I'll head back home for a while. Haven't I always wanted to move your grandpa and grandma's graves so they can rest together? I never had the time before, but now I can finally take care of it. Then he brought up a few other things. And the house back home needs fixing too. Didn't you say the roof was leaking? If we leave it like that, by the time New Year comes around, nobody will even be able to stay there. The truth was, my father had wanted to go back home for a long time. But all these years he had been busy taking care of me and paying for my schooling. He didn't even get time off during the holidays. My eyes turned red, and my chest tightened. Dad, I'm sorry. Luckily, this time around, I had been reborn with the knowledge to avoid the same mistakes. I wouldn't be as foolish as I was in my previous life, thinking Gu Qinghan liked me and believing Mrs. Gu would accept me. Back then, I stupidly ruined myself and dragged my father down with me. But over the years, my father had actually saved up quite a bit of money. It was enough to buy a small home outright on the outskirts of a city. And honestly, for me, a modest 2-bedroom place would already be more than enough. As for him, he had already made up his mind. As for the house, a small 2-bedroom, 2-living-room place is more than enough for me. As for him, he'd already figured it all out. Go back to a small town, maybe open a little shop or something, or head back to the countryside and grow trees. Either way, he'd be retiring in a few years, so everything was going to revolve around me. As for Zhang Lan, if she wanted to stay, then fine, let her stay. Dad could always come visit every now and then. When she's done, he'd just bring her back. Bottom line, he was not letting Zhang Lan stick her nose in my business. That woman seriously could not read the room. After Dad left, I couldn't sleep. Stayed up the whole night. In my past life, Gu Qinghan and I had a 5-year relationship. It didn't end well, but at least on the surface, he treated me okay throughout. The only real painful part? Gu Furen secretly drugged me, messed up my health for years, and the Gu family looked down on me for it. Now I had a second chance and everything was heading in a totally different direction. But somehow that just made me more anxious. Worried about an uncertain future and whether that car accident would still happen. I sat up in bed. Outside, frogs were going off one after another. I turned on the little nightlight on my nightstand, pulled back the curtains, and pushed open the window. Instantly, the night breeze rushed in. Damp soil, faint floral scent, all of it. I leaned on the windowsill and looked out at the little garden. That's when, in the dim light, I spotted someone sitting in the gazebo. White outfit, stretched out on the stone bench, long legs extended, looking straight in my direction. The second I realized it was Gu Qinghan, I froze, like I'd just seen a ghost. I quickly looked away and started closing the window. Meanwhile, I'm internally losing it. It's 2 a.m. Why is this guy still lurking outside my window like some kind of ghost? Creepy as hell. And wait, didn't he drive out earlier tonight? How'd he get back so fast? Wasn't he supposed to be going to see Chenzi? Gu Qinghan caught me closing the window and suddenly stood up, walking over in long strides. His voice was a little raspy as he called out, "Muchen, wait up!" I didn't give him the chance. I went straight for the window. Gu Qinghan had no choice but to rush over and press one hand against the glass panel to stop it from closing. He leaned against the window frame, eyes locking onto mine, the faint smell of alcohol still on him. "Muchen, wanna be my girlfriend?" My expression went ice cold. No. Gu Qinghan looked genuinely caught off guard, like it never even crossed his mind that I'd say no. In my past life, he asked the exact same thing, and I said yes right away. Now he was getting frustrated. Why are you turning me down? Is it because of Su Xiaowei? He honestly couldn't think of any other reason. I was getting impatient. This has nothing to do with Senior Su. I stared at Gu Qinghan, a cold smirk on my face. "Gu Qinghan, I just straight up don't like you. You're genuinely annoying." Gu Qinghan had never heard anything like that in his life. He'd always been the guy everyone fawned over. All he had to do was crook a finger, and people would trip over themselves rushing to his side. And now I had the nerve to call him annoying. Gu Qinghan's expression darkened. He just stood there, silent, staring at me like he couldn't process what I'd just said. After a long moment, he seemed to snap back to reality, realizing his emotions were starting to slip out of control again. He'd come out here wanting to have a calm conversation. He looked straight at me and slowly asked, "So you're still upset with me because I never seriously pursued you, is that it?" His voice was low and slow, carrying an emotion that was hard to pin down. I looked at him, completely blank-faced, thinking how ironic this all was. In my past life, I was crazy about him, and he never once had eyes for me. Now that I couldn't care less, he was suddenly showing up asking why. Laughable. I shook my head. Whether you pursue me or not, there's no future for us. Period. Gu Qinghan didn't believe it. In his mind, we'd always had this connection. I liked him, and the only reason I was acting this way was probably because of Chen Zi. He reached out and lightly tapped my cheek through the night air, a strange, unreadable look on his face. Then he spoke again, his voice dropping a little lower. "Doesn't matter. I'm still gonna shoot my shot." I frowned, looked at him like he was something disgusting. "Are you deaf? I literally just rejected you. We're not even close. Don't come looking for me anymore." With that, I turned around to close the window. Just as I reached for it, Gu Qinghan finally let go of the window frame he'd been holding this whole time. Click. The window shut with a crisp snap. Then I quickly yanked the curtain shut with a whoosh, completely cutting off the line of sight between us. Gu Qinghan stood in the dark for a while, staring at my window. He'd only just gotten back. When he was at Chen Zhe's place, seeing the pale look on Chen Zhe's face, listening to Chen Zhe's mother say they weren't planning to go abroad anymore, that she hoped Gu Qinghan would marry Chen Zhe, that she hoped the Gu family would help the Chen family get through this rough patch, it hit him like a gut punch. Walking out of the Chen family's home, he could barely breathe. Everything had changed. He muttered under his breath. "Mu Chen's different now. She doesn't care about me anymore, doesn't look at me anymore, doesn't like me anymore." And Chen Zhe, that person he'd kept in his heart for 5 whole years, his so-called first love, turned out to be running a full-on scheme against him. He didn't even want to think about it. If he weren't the Gu family heir, would Chen Zhe have ever actually liked him? The next morning, when I walked out of the villa, I saw Gu Qinghan parked on the side of the road in a blue sports car, sunglasses on, eyes locked on me as I came out the door. "Get in!" I was carrying a bag of milk. I walked right past him without stopping. "No thanks, I'll take the bus." Gu Qinghan's brow furrowed. He slowly drove alongside me, clearly annoyed. "Mu Chen, didn't you agree last night to let me pursue you?" I frowned. I never said anything like that, and every time he brought up pursuing me, I shot him down, clearly, but apparently Gu Qinghan had completely tuned that out. I walked up to his car. Gu Qinghan thought I was finally getting in. His expression softened. "I knew you'd get in." I never said he could pursue me. I stepped up close and looked at him dead serious. "I never said that, and I'm not getting in your car. You and your car are way too flashy. I'm not ending up on the news again." I turned and walked off, taking the side path to catch the bus. Gu Qinghan's face dropped. He slapped the steering wheel in frustration. Just then, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. It was Chen Zhe. He took a breath, calmed himself down, and picked up. "Hello, Chen Zhe." A weak voice came through the phone. "Gu Qinghan? Can you come to the hospital? I don't want to be alone." When Gu Qinghan got to the hospital, Chen Zhe wasn't looking good at all. Seeing him like that, the hatred Gu Qinghan felt toward Gu Furen only grew. He couldn't wrap his head around it. How could she be so heartless? Chen Zhe ended up like this because of him. He got drugged and hospitalized because of Gu Qinghan's involvement. If Chenze could recover, fine. But what if he couldn't? You don't have to stay with Chenze for life just because you feel guilty. That's how people are. Once someone becomes a burden, love disappears too. Chenze was on an IV. He looked pale and not in a good way. When Gu Qinghan walked in, his face fell even more. He stared at Gu Qinghan and asked, "Qinghan, why did you suddenly leave yesterday? Was it because my mom wanted us to get married and you didn't want that?" Gu Qinghan sat by Chenze's hospital bed and gently rubbed his head to comfort him. In a soft voice, he said, "I had something to do yesterday. It wasn't because of that. Don't overthink it." Chenze let out a cold laugh. "Gu Qinghan, how much longer are you going to lie to me?" Chenze's expression turned grim. He looked at Gu Qinghan with resentment. "After I ate that bowl of bird's nest porridge at your house, my stomach suddenly started hurting, and I've been hospitalized ever since. Do you know what the doctor said?" After learning the truth that day, Gu Qinghan had the doctor cover it up. After all, that hospital was a private one owned by the Gu family, so the doctor probably wouldn't dare leak anything. Gu Qinghan looked at Chenze with a conflicted expression. What did the doctor say? As he checked Chenze's face, he was thinking to himself, which doctor was bold enough to talk? Chenze looked at Gu Qinghan in disappointment. He had always thought that since they grew up together, and Gu Qinghan had liked him since middle school, those feelings had to be real. But in the end, Chenze looked at Gu Qinghan with red-rimmed eyes. "I knew the doctors at your hospital wouldn't tell me the truth. So my mom took me to a public hospital outside for another checkup. The doctor said it was a drug overdose." By this point, Chenze was already crying. In a hoarse voice, he said, "That medicine already has a ton of side effects. And I just happened to be really sensitive to it. Even a normal dose would have affected my body. So imagine what happened when I took way too much of it. Gu Qinghan, your mom is a murderer, and you're her accomplice." Gu Qinghan looked flustered at first, but he quickly forced himself to calm down. Even though he and Mrs. Gu didn't get along, he knew they were tied together. If his mother was exposed as a murderer, then as her daughter, how could his own reputation survive? Mrs. Gu was still the wife of the Gu family patriarch. If word got out about something like this, the Gu family's stock would probably crash. Thinking of that, Gu Qinghan looked at the sobbing, broken-down Chenze, stood up at once, and pulled him into his arms. As he stroked Chenze's head, he said softly, Okay. You're sick right now. Don't get worked up. If you make yourself worse, I'll really be worried about you." Leaning against Gu Qinghan, Chenze choked out, "What am I supposed to do from now on? I've never even had a girlfriend, and now my body's already ruined. What am I gonna do in the future?" "Don't say that. It's okay," Gu Qinghan comforted him. "You're just sick. The doctor already said you can recover, so don't spiral." As he spoke, Gu Qinghan bent down slightly and looked at Chenze with those affectionate eyes. "No matter whether you recover or not, I won't ever look down on you. If you're still worried, then how about we get engaged this month?" Chenze stared at him, stunned, joy flashing in his eyes. "Really? Qinghan, you're willing to marry me?" This time when I got on the bus, Su Xiaowei wasn't there, and I was honestly surprised. Lately, I'd been seeing her on the bus almost every day. I picked up my phone and checked the time. It was definitely the right bus. Could it be that Su Xiaowei didn't have class today? I rode to school by myself. On the way, I held my phone and wondered whether I should send Su Xiaowei a message. But after thinking it over, it didn't feel right. We weren't close enough to ask about each other's personal lives. But it wasn't just that one day. For the next 3 days in a row, I still didn't see Su Xiaowei. Right around then, I got a notice from the logistics office. My dorm application had been approved. I was instantly excited, and as soon as class ended, I went with Shen Haoxuan to check out the dorm. Shen Haoxuan said, "We're on the 5th floor, I'm in 504, and you're in 502. I already asked around. The other 3 guys in 502 are all from the history department next door. I've met them before. They're all pretty easy to get along with." I nodded. "That's good." When we got to the dorm, we found that the previous student had already cleaned the bed really well. So we decided to go buy daily necessities first, and I'd move in directly tomorrow. Anyway, my dad had already quit his job, so this time I could finally cut ties with the Gu family for good. A guy in the dorm wearing glasses asked, "Which one of you is moving in?" I answered right away, "Me. My name's Mu Chen, a freshman in the School of Liberal Arts." The guy looked at me. "I'm Wen Jingren from the history department. You look kind of familiar." I thought, what else could it be? It had to be from when I helped Mrs. Gu take photos of Gu Qinghan in class and ended up all over the campus gossip chat. So now everybody knew who I was. My nerves were solid. I'd already been through all this in my previous life. Now that I was dealing with it again, I could stay completely unfazed. Shen Haoxuan smiled and said, "Wen Jingren, you look familiar to me too." "I know. You performed at the opening celebration party, right?" As he said that, Shen Haoxuan walked over and started chatting with Wen Jingren like they were old friends. By the time they were done talking, they'd already swapped contact info and were calling each other bro. I seriously had to hand it to Shen Haoxuan. After the two of us came out, I said I was heading to the campus store to buy some daily essentials and do a quick cleanup in the dorm. Then after afternoon classes, I was planning to head back early, so I could move into the dorm that same night. Shen Haoxuan looked confused. "Mu Chen, you're moving in that fast?" I nodded. "Of course. I've been waiting forever for this." And on top of that, I found a part-time job at a fishing park these past couple of days. Every afternoon and evening, whenever the place gets busy, I work the front desk registering members. And I also sell fishing gear and stuff. The job's really simple. It sounds pretty easy too, but it's kind of far from school and even farther from the Gu house. Once I move into the dorm, I won't have to keep going back and forth to the Gu house, so getting to work will actually be easier. That afternoon, I went straight back to pack my things. After talking to my dad, I dragged my suitcase and left the Gu house. Mrs. Gu had just gotten home from work and saw it. She asked, "Butler, why is Mu Chen moving out?" The butler sighed. "Driver Mu is quitting, so Mu Chen moved to the school dorm." Hearing that, Mrs. Gu said indifferently, "Then just hire another driver. We pay well. It's not like we can't find a good one." The butler sighed inwardly and nodded. As Mrs. Gu handed her bag and coat to the butler, she said, "It's fine that Mu Chen moved out. I used to see him riding to and from school with Jinghan every day, and I was worried he might be having thoughts he shouldn't. Luckily, the last time I had him take photos of Jinghan at school, it made Jinghan angry. Otherwise, Jinghan might really have been upset." The old butler forced a smile and nodded. "Yeah. As expected, ma'am, you really do think everything through." He nodded. "Yeah, the lady really thought this through. No wonder she's Mrs. Gu. She's way more far-sighted than most people." On the day I moved into the dorms, I hesitated for a long time before finally texting Su Xiaowei. "Hey, senior, I moved into the dorms so I won't have to rush for the bus early every morning anymore." At that moment, Su Xiaowei, who had just walked out of the school gate with a classmate, suddenly stopped. She frowned, and her expression darkened a little. Xia Yumo, who was with her, finally couldn't hold back and asked, "Girl, why have you been checking your phone every few minutes these past 3 days? Whose message are you waiting for?" For 3 straight days, Su Xiaowei, who normally barely touched her phone, kept picking it up to check it, like she was waiting for someone. Xia Yumo had already told her, "Instead of waiting around, why not make the first move? I'm making the first move, you just don't get it." That one sentence shut Xia Yumo right up. She could only complain, "What, are you playing hard to get? What kind of master plan is this? You're really out here using the art of war?" Su Xiaowei said nothing. But today, she had finally gotten my message, and the weight in her chest finally lifted. After 3 days of me not taking the bus, I had finally texted her. Good. This was a very good start. It meant I cared about her. Su Xiaowei stopped in her tracks, her face turning cold. She moved into the dorms? Wait. Then how was she supposed to carry out the rest of her plan? The art of war had done her dirty. She really hadn't expected me to move into the dorms. But then she thought about it again. Maybe this was actually a good thing, because Gu Qinghan's attitude toward me had always been a little strange. As a woman, Su Xiaowei could sense it right away. Gu Qinghan clearly treated me differently. There was no way Su Xiaowei wouldn't read into that. Judging from Mu Chen's attitude toward Gu Qinghan, the two of them were probably over already. Su Xiaowei looked at her phone, thinking she needed to move fast. Then she texted me. "You're staying in the dorm now? Need help moving?" "I'm already moved in. I didn't have much stuff, so we finished pretty quickly." Seeing that, Su Xiaowei felt a little disappointed. I still remembered that I owed Su Xiaowei a meal, so I sat on my dorm bed and texted her. "When are you free, senior? Let me treat you to a meal." I'd said a long time ago that I'd treat her to food, milk tea, whatever, but I just never got the chance. Su Xiaowei raised an eyebrow, ran through my class schedule in her head, and replied, "I'm free tomorrow afternoon." Perfect. She could take me to a barbecue place near campus for roast lamb. Everyone who'd been there said it was amazing, and I'd probably like it too. But unexpectedly, I turned her down. "Sorry, senior. I've got a part-time job tomorrow afternoon. How about the day after tomorrow?" "You found another part-time job? What kind of work is it? Where is it? Is it legit?" So I sent Su Xiaowei the location of the fishery. "It's a fishery. I'm working there part-time at the front desk and doing sales. It should be legit. I found it in the school part-time jobs group, and a senior student worked there before." Not long after that, I forwarded her the part-time job post exactly as I'd seen it in the group chat. After getting the message, Su Xiaowei quickly opened her map app and searched for the fishery. After confirming the location, she went online and looked up more detailed information about the place, carefully reading through all kinds of descriptions and reviews. Just then, Xia Yuma came back from a nearby convenience store with 2 sausages. He ate one himself first, then handed the other one to Su Xiaowei and said, "Girl, are you still not leaving? It's already getting dark." Su Xiaowei took the sausage, bit into it, then suddenly seemed to remember something and turned to ask Xia Yumo, "By the way, aren't you familiar with this area? Do you know where I can buy fishing gear around here?" Xia Yumo was in the middle of enjoying his sausage. When he heard the question, he didn't even have time to swallow before he mumbled back, "Fishing gear?" As he said that, his eyes drifted downward in a way they really shouldn't have. Su Xiaowei shot him a dark look. Startled, Xia Yumo quickly added, "What even is that supposed to mean? Are you that lonely?" Su Xiaowei said flatly, "It means gear for fishing. I want to buy a full set and go fishing at the fishery this weekend." Xia Yumo looked surprised. "Wait, you're not even in aquaculture next door, so what are you fishing for?" Su Xiaowei didn't answer. After class, I packed up my things, unlocked a shared bike, and rode to the fishery where I worked part-time. The place was huge, and the front desk stayed pretty busy. Most of the members were older guys. A lot of them were retired, so there wasn't really a weekday versus weekend difference. Even on regular days, there were plenty of customers. They didn't mind spending money on memberships, bait, or gear. The only issue was that a lot of them spoke in local dialect, and since I'm not from here, I often had trouble understanding them. There were only 2 people at the front desk, and one of them was a woman. She was related to the owner and was currently in grad school. Whenever she had time, she came back to help out. Since I was new and didn't know how to use the system, Xia Yuqi patiently taught me. This register system is pretty easy to use, so just watch me once. Most of our members pay yearly dues, and you'll need to register their membership cards. They can borrow fishing gear for free, and any fish they catch they can take home free too. You don't need to worry about the rest. I stood beside her and listened carefully. The owner of the fishery also ran a restaurant, so a lot of people came because of the reputation. Reserving private dining rooms for fish meals and things like that was also part of our job. The work was kind of all over the place, but overall it wasn't too hectic. I learned fast, so I picked it up quickly. After Xiaoyuchi finished walking me through everything, she casually picked up the cup beside her and got ready to fill it with water. Smiling, she said to me, "You stay here and look over the materials for a bit. I'm going to get some water." I nodded obediently and said, "Okay, senior." Xiaoyuchi was a graduate student at a university, working toward her master's degree, so when I first met her, I politely called her senior. Just as Xiaoyuchi turned to get water, a familiar female voice suddenly rang out. "Who is she? Are you close with her?" I looked up right away and saw Su Xiaowei standing at the front desk in a waterproof outdoor jacket and a bucket hat with a brand new set of fishing gear in her hand. Xiaoyumo was dressed similarly and stood behind Su Xiaowei, looking around curiously. My eyes lit up right away, and with obvious surprise on my face, I quickly stood up and greeted her warmly. "Senior Su, you came here to fish too?" Su Xiaowei smiled and nodded. "Xiaoyumo has a project related to farmed fish, so I came with him to look for some material." Xiaoyumo, who had been dragged here against his will, widened his eyes. Su Xiaowei turned around, completely unbothered. "When does your research project end? Are you thinking monthly, quarterly, or annual membership?" Xiaoyumo thought, why is she even asking me that? Like I'd know when it ends. So she flipped it back on Su Xiaowei. "Well, when do you think it should end?" Su Xiaowei looked dead serious. "Okay, so I thought about it. Annual membership is definitely the better deal. The professor's already assigned one fishery project and there's going to be a second, a third. The annual pass is only $1,000, unlimited visits. That's actually a steal, don't you think?" Xiaoyumo just shrugged, totally unbothered, and nodded along. "Yeah, sure, you make a good point. Annual it is." Not like it was coming out of her own pocket anyway. She wasn't going to lose sleep over it. I was watching the two of them from the side, trying not to laugh. Right then, Su Xiaowei suddenly turned to look at me. She smiled and said, "Muchin, could you set up 2 annual memberships for us?" "Sure thing, ladies, just hang tight and fill out this form real quick." I slid a form across the counter. Honestly, I wasn't super familiar with the whole membership process, so I was moving a little slow. But Xiaoyumo didn't seem annoyed at all. She just kept chatting with me the whole time, asking about my part-time gig here, the pay, whether meals were covered, all that. Girl had so many questions, you'd think she was trying to apply herself. I'm pretty easygoing, so I answered everything she asked. Right about then, Xiaoyuchi, who'd stepped away to grab some water, spotted customers at the counter and got a little worried about whether I could handle the membership setup on my own. She put her cup down fast and came straight back to the front desk, stepping up right beside me. We were practically shoulder to shoulder. Xiaoyuchi leaned in slightly and said quietly, "You guys signing up for the annual membership?" I gave a quick nod, then looked up a little sheepishly and said, "Senior, I'm still not totally sure how the membership system works." Xiaoyuchi met my eyes for a second, just a beat, then snapped back and said, "No worries, I'll take care of it. You just watch." And just like that, she naturally took the mouse right out of my hand, and her fingers grazed mine without either of us even noticing. Neither of us made a big deal out of it. But Su Xiaowei, standing on the other side of the counter, caught every single bit of it. Her expression shifted instantly. The good mood she'd been in just a moment ago, gone. Xiaoyumo leaned over and whispered, "Sis, you've got some real competition here." Su Xiaowei kept a straight face and let out a tired sigh. "Can't help it. A guy I fall for at first sight, of course other people are gonna like him too. He's good-looking, sweet, and kind. It'd be weird if nobody liked him." Xiaoyuchi got everything sorted in the system quickly and handed over 2 membership cards. "Here you go. Your memberships are all set. These are annual passes, unlimited visits within the validity period, no reservation needed, and you can borrow fishing gear for free. If you want a reserved spot, though, you'll need to book ahead." Su Xiaowei and Xiaoyumo took the cards, thanked me and Xiaoyuchi, then headed off to find a good spot to fish. Xiaoyuchi stood there watching them walk away, until they completely disappeared from view. Then she turned to me and lowered her voice. "Are they classmates of yours?" I smiled and nodded. "They're seniors from Beta next door." Xiaoyuchi raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. College students into fishing? She'd been working here for years and knew the regulars inside and out. Members as young as Su Xiaowei and Xiaoyumo were basically unicorns. Not impossible, just crazy rare. I caught on to her confusion and quickly explained. "They're from the agronomy school. That girl in the blue jacket is doing a research project on fish farming, so she came here specifically to gather material." Xiaoyuchi's eyebrows shot up even higher. "Wait, seriously? But I'm pretty sure Beta's agronomy department has their own fish farms, though?" That caught me off guard. I blinked, totally surprised, like, wait, really? I honestly didn't know much about the agronomy department at all, but Xiaoyuchi clearly knew her stuff. She saw my curious look and started laying it all out for me. Turns out the agronomy school has massive farmland. It's where students do hands-on training, and it's not just crops either. They've got livestock facilities, fish farms, orchards, you name it. Basically covers every corner of agriculture. Then, Xiaoyuchi shifted gears and brought up the fact that they'd come to this small fishing spot to get a membership. She didn't really get it. If their goal was to study fish farming, this little place didn't seem like the right fit. The scale here is small. Resources are limited. Compared to the big fish farms at their school, it's not even close. Xiaoyuchi couldn't help but wonder out loud, "You really think the fish they catch here is going to be enough for a research project? I mean, what if they go a whole day without catching a single one?" The doubt in her voice was real. Gu Qinghan didn't find out I'd moved until day 6. Before that, his whole headspace was taken up by Chen Zi. Chen Zi was in a pretty rough emotional state, and Gu Qinghan was scared he might do something impulsive. So he took a few days off, brought Chen Zi back to his place downtown, and stayed with him through those 5 days. He did everything he could to keep Chen Zi calm and make sure he was resting and recovering. But by day 6, Chen Zi still wasn't fully back to normal. He insisted on going back to class, but Gu Qinghan was restless. He was starting to realize the aftermath might be worse than he'd thought. That night, Gu Qinghan lay in bed tossing and turning, couldn't sleep. Chen Zi's pale face and frail body kept flashing through his mind, and it just made the anxiety worse. He finally gave up, got up, and did what he always did. Walked over to the garden by the entrance of the building next door and leaned against the railing in the pavilion to get some air. The garden was dead quiet at night, nothing but the soft rustling of leaves in the breeze. He was leaning on the railing, just chilling in the breeze. The garden was dead quiet at night, nothing but the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. Gu Qinghan stood there staring at that shut window. The lights were off, pitch black. He couldn't help thinking back to his past life. All those moments he'd shared with her in that very room. A wave of emotions hit him all at once. He glanced down at his watch. Past 1 a.m. She's probably already asleep. And just like that, he stood outside her window the entire night. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window onto Gu Qinghan's face. He hadn't slept at all. His eyes were completely bloodshot. After breakfast, he slowly got up and headed out for school. But standing at the front gate, he couldn't seem to pull himself together. He kept glancing back toward the small building behind him, like he was waiting for someone. Seconds ticked by. Minutes passed. But that familiar figure never showed up. Gu Qinghan's brow furrowed. A sense of unease crept over him. She leaves at this time every single morning. So why is today different? His mind started racing. Did something happen to her? Just as the anxiety was getting to him, a black sedan slowly pulled up to the gate. Gu Qinghan walked over to get in. But the moment he saw who was behind the wheel, his expression dropped. It wasn't Uncle Moo, the driver he knew. It was a total stranger. Gu Qinghan's eyes narrowed. Why are you driving? Where's Uncle Moo? The new driver seemed a little thrown off by Gu Qinghan's attitude, but quickly composed himself. Miss, Uncle Moo has resigned. The head butler assigned me to drive you from now on. Gu Qinghan's face darkened. His chest heaved. He got out of the car, furious, and stormed back into the villa. The head butler happened to be walking his way. Hey, where's Uncle Moo? The butler was caught off guard and froze for a second. Oh, miss, you mean Uncle Moo? He resigned yesterday. He's already left the Gu household. Why did he resign? If he's gone, doesn't that mean Moo Chen will leave too? Sure enough, before he could even ask, the butler just kept going on his own. Uncle Moo already moved out. Said he had some stuff to take care of back home. And Moo Chen moved out too. Looks like he went to stay in the dorms. Uncle Moo was truly one of a kind. Finding someone like him again? That's not going to be easy. Gu Qinghan's face grew darker by the second. He stood there like a statue, completely still, but his eyes were blazing like he could snap at any moment. Things had spiraled way further than he ever expected. In his past life, she gave him everything. Loved him with her whole heart, stayed by his side, never left for even a moment. And Uncle Moo had been the Gu family's driver the entire time. Even through 5 years of their relationship, he never once quit. But now, after being reborn, everything had completely fallen apart. What was going on? Was this really all because of his rebirth? Was everything just going to change? And Moo Chen, would he still love him the same way he did in their past life? That question kept spinning in Gu Qinghan's head, filling him with dread. My shift at the fish farm ran until 9 p.m. After a long night, I was beat. I wrapped things up and got ready to head out. The fish farm lights flickered in the dark, casting shadows all around and giving the whole place this quiet, peaceful vibe. Right then, Su Xiaowei came walking back, swinging a fishing bucket, looking all light on her feet. But Xia Yumo, who'd gone fishing with her, was nowhere to be seen. The second I spotted Su Xiaowei, my eyes lit up. I walked over and zeroed in on the bucket in her hand. Hey, did you catch anything? Su Xiaowei gave a little smirk and held the bucket out toward me. I leaned in to look, completely empty. Nothing. I blinked for a second, then just burst out laughing. Wait, you seriously didn't catch a single thing? Su Xiaowei stood there, head slightly down, watching me laugh. Without even realizing it, a soft smile spread across her face too. First time fishing, cut me some slack. I'll do better next time. But honestly, she knew. She hadn't been focused on fishing at all. It was just an excuse. Her mind was somewhere else entirely. Catching fish was never the point. After I stopped laughing, hey, where's Ya? Where's your friend? Isn't she coming back with you? Su Xiaowei shook her head. Xia Yumo had something to take care of, so she left early. Anyway, it's getting late. Have you eaten? I shook my head without thinking. I'd been working all night and my stomach was already growling. But this time I'd made up my mind. I was not letting Su Xiaowei pay again. Hey, let me treat you to dinner. Su Xiaowei's first instinct was to say no. She didn't want me spending money on her. But then she thought about it. Relationships go both ways. If she let me treat her this time, she'd have a reason to treat me next time. That made sense. So she said yes. So Su Xiaowei dropped off her fishing gear at the fish farm's front desk, and we headed out to grab food together. Just then, Sha Yuqi walked out from a nearby room and immediately spotted Su Xiaowei checking in her gear. Moo Chen, is that your girlfriend? She didn't say it loud, but in that quiet space I heard every word. I let out an awkward, huh? And shook my head, my voice dropping automatically. No, she's just a senior from the school next door. Sha Yuqi nodded slowly, a small smile tugging at the corner of her lips. Oh, I see. Guess I read the situation wrong. She'd just seen the two of us walking side by side and the vibe between us seemed pretty close. She genuinely thought we were a couple. That one comment from Xiaoyuqi had me all flustered. By the time Su Xiaowei came back from checking in her gear, I instinctively drifted away from her. We ended up walking out with about a half-meter gap between us. Su Xiaowei picked up on it right away and felt a little confused. She casually stepped closer to close the gap, but I immediately shifted to the other side. Su Xiaowei stopped in her tracks. Something was off. I was definitely avoiding her. To test her theory, she stepped toward me again, and sure enough, I dodged to the side once more. Su Xiaowei's brow furrowed, and she couldn't help but call out, "Mu-chen!" I heard someone call my name and snapped my head up. "Huh? What's wrong, senior?" At this point, we'd already made our way out of the fishing spot and were heading toward the bus stop. The path was only a few dozen meters long, pretty secluded, with no real streetlights, just dim and kind of eerie. Every now and then you'd catch the sound of crickets rustling in the grass along the side. It gave the whole place this quiet, mysterious vibe. Out of nowhere, Su Xiaowei reached out, fast and firm, and grabbed my arm, yanking me hard to the side. I didn't even have time to react. I lost my footing and got pulled right up next to her. In that split second, I caught a faint whiff of her scent, light and clean, and honestly, it kind of knocked me off balance mentally. I stood there for a second, dazed. Once I steadied myself, I looked in the direction she'd pulled me from, and saw it. There was a big hole in the ground right where I'd been walking. It wasn't huge, but if you stepped in it without looking, you were gonna get hurt. My eyes went wide. My heart was still racing. I looked over at Su Xiaowei and I was genuinely grateful. "Senior, thank you. You literally just saved me. Oh my god, that could have been really bad." I instinctively pressed a hand to my chest. My heart was pounding. Su Xiaowei let go of my arm and quietly said, "Watch where you're going. Stop zoning out." I watched her pull her hand back and I could feel my face turning red. I gave a small nod. "Got it, senior," I said, barely above a whisper. Even though she'd already let go, the spot where she'd grabbed me still felt cool. Like her touch was still there. I couldn't help sneaking a glance at her hand. It was small, with long, slender fingers and defined knuckles, almost like a work of art. You just couldn't stop looking. These days, every time I see her hand, my mind automatically goes back to that moment when our fingers were intertwined. I told myself, I need to keep my distance from Su Xiaowei. The two of us ended up at a restaurant near B University. We just sat down and ordered. And of course, it didn't even take one meal before we ran into someone we knew. Song Yutong happened to be dining nearby with some friends. She casually turned her head and spotted me sitting there with Su Xiaowei. Her face lit up with surprise, and she immediately grabbed her phone and snapped a photo. Her fingers flew across the screen as she sent the photo straight to their three-person group chat. "Gu Qinghan, your driver's son is getting pretty cozy with Su Xiaowei." Ever since the last dinner, when Shu Royao told them about Su Xiaowei's background, Song Yutong had been keeping close tabs on her, watching her every move. In Song Yutong's eyes, Su Xiaowei came from serious money, just as loaded as Gu Qinghan. So why on earth did she have such low standards in a guy? Meanwhile, Gu Qinghan was alone in his dark room, lying there with the heavy curtains drawn tight, blocking out every bit of sunlight. The whole place reeked of stuffiness. Empty bottles were scattered all over the table, some knocked over sideways, some teetering on the edge. Gu Qinghan had passed out drunk on the couch, and he was having a nightmare. In the dream, he saw himself cruelly kicking Mushin out, all for Chenze. Mushin walked away, dragging his suitcase, his back full of heartbreak. Then he stepped out onto the road, and a car ran a red light, flying straight at him, totally out of control. There was a massive crash, and like a thunderclap, Mushin was sent flying several meters and hit the ground hard. And where was he? Standing right in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse, holding Chenzi close, deep in a kiss. His eyes drifted through the glass by accident, and he caught the whole thing happening out on the street below. His gaze locked up instantly. His pupils blew wide. He recognized the person who'd been hit. It was Mukin. The realization hit him like a lightning strike. He shoved Chenzi away and bolted downstairs like a madman, stumbling over his own feet, nearly wiping out multiple times. Everyone around him looked at him with devastated faces and told him Mukin was gone. But he refused to believe it. How? The guy who'd always been by his side, who took care of his every need. How could he just be gone? An overwhelming panic closed in around him like a net, squeezing the air right out of his lungs. And then, he jolted awake. He shot up from the couch, drenched in sweat, drops rolling down his face. His head was splitting, felt like 1,000 needles. And his throat was bone dry. His voice came out hoarse as he called out of habit, "Muchen! Water!" Every word soaked in exhaustion and helplessness. He sat back against the couch with his eyes closed, because for the past 5 years, every time he got drunk or sick, I was always right there beside him, handing him a warm glass of water and softly checking in on him. After coming back, he'd told himself he was going to be with Chen Zi, and he'd been intentionally keeping his distance from me. But as time went on, he realized he'd already gotten so used to having me around. All those little everyday moments, every little thing I did, they'd gotten under his skin, deep into his life. He couldn't let go. He leaned back into the couch, rubbing his aching forehead, and called out again, "Muchen." Then his voice just stopped. He slowly opened his eyes. The room was dark and heavy, no lights on. The whole space felt suffocating. Empty bottles sat cluttered on the table. Clothes were thrown all over the couch, a total mess. The housekeepers weren't allowed in without his permission, so his space had become more and more of an isolated wreck. He thought about how he'd spent days coaxing Chenze, putting in all that effort just to finally get things smoothed over, then dragged himself home completely drained, hoping for just a moment of peace. Instead, Madame Gu hit him with questions about why he hadn't been going to school, one thing after another. It was just too much. Gu Qinghan buried his face in his hands and let out a laugh in the dark. It was the kind of laugh that had nothing funny in it. Why was this happening? He genuinely didn't get it. In our past life, I'd taken the drug too, and I never made a scene. I never asked for anything, I just silently took it all. And back then, he never once thought he'd done me wrong. But now, comparing it to Chenze, it finally clicked. If a man truly loves someone, he's not going to put them through that kind of pain. And I had always been the one quietly giving everything, loving him with everything I had. Just then, his phone dinged, cutting through the silence. He picked it up. Song Yutong had sent something in the QQ group chat. He tapped it open in a daze, and his expression immediately dropped. In the photo, I was sitting at a restaurant with Su Xiaowei, the two of us laughing and chatting like old friends. A wave of irritation hit him out of nowhere. Since when did Muchen get this close to Su Xiaowei? He gripped his phone tight, knuckles going white from the pressure. A deep, gnawing unease, and something that felt a lot like jealousy, started creeping up inside him. It hit him all at once. He might actually be losing Muchen. After we finished eating, Su Xiaowei offered to walk me back to the dorm. I felt a little awkward and said, "It's getting late, senior. You should just head home. I'll head back to the dorm on my own." It was late and the streets were pretty much empty. I glanced up at the wall clock. It was almost 10. Thinking about Su Xiaowei having to catch a cab home alone, I felt genuinely bad. Su Xiaowei just shook her head and said, "It's kind of dark out at this hour. I'll walk you there. I'm not in a rush to catch my cab anyway." She took the lead and headed toward a university. I still felt bad about it, but she was already walking, so I jogged a few steps to catch up. The two of us walked side by side, chatting here and there. The dim streetlights stretched our shadows long, then short as we passed under them. Before long, we reached the dorm building. Su Xiaowei stopped and said softly, "We're here. Head on up." I looked up full of gratitude and said sincerely, "Thanks, senior. Really, I appreciate it." Su Xiaowei waved it off and turned to leave. She's tall, long-legged, and gorgeous. She stood out even in the dark. From the moment she walked me over, plenty of guys couldn't help turning around for a second look, eyes full of curiosity and envy. I noticed all those stares and felt super uncomfortable, my face going red. At that hour outside the dorm, there were couples everywhere, girls seeing their boyfriends off. Naturally, people assumed Su Xiaowei and I were together. In reality, she and I were just cool with each other, senior and junior, nothing more. I hurried inside and made it to the room. The second I pushed the door open, one of my roommates looked up from his computer and said, "Yo, Mu Chen, your girlfriend just dropped off a gift. It's on your bed." I froze in the doorway, totally caught off guard, and pointed at myself going, "Wait, whose girlfriend? Mine?" I was genuinely confused. Since when did I have a girlfriend? How did I not know about this? Then another roommate came out of the bathroom with a towel, walked over to my bed while drying his hair, and stared at this fancy wrapped stuffed animal. Eyes wide, he said, "Bro, your girl really is something. Sending you a gift this late through a delivery guy." Then, half curious, he tested the waters. "Mu Chen, don't tell me your girlfriend is Gu Qinghan?" My roommates had heard about me photographing Gu Qinghan in class. She's normally short-tempered, cold, and couldn't care less about anyone. Yet no matter how many times I snapped her photo, she never got mad. On top of that, someone had spotted me getting out of her car, the two of us commuting together. That kind of thing gets people thinking. But honestly, I wasn't bothered at all. I just smiled a little. I calmly explained, "Nah, the photos were just a misunderstanding. There's nothing going on between me and Miss Gu. Besides, think about who she is. We're from completely different worlds." As I said that, I walked over to my bed, gently picked up the cute stuffed animal, and held it in my hands. A rush of complicated feelings hit me. This was definitely bought by Gu Qinghan. In my past life, right after we made it official, she gave me one exactly like it. I was over the moon back then. I treasured that thing, kept it at my bedside, and held it every night when I slept. But that relationship ended in tragedy. When Gu Qinghan coldly kicked me out, I couldn't bring myself to take the stuffed animal that had been with me for 5 years. Thinking about that, I dropped my gaze back to the one in my hands. Same blue design, same size. Even the brand was identical. I reached out and slowly ran my fingers across the box. My feelings were all over the place. My roommate Wen Jinran was super nosy. He leaned in and checked out the brand tag on the stuffed animal. His eyes went wide and he lowered his voice. "Bro, this brand is crazy expensive. This thing's gotta be 7 figures, right?" He was clearly blown away by the price. I gave Wen Jinran a quiet look, shook my head with a hint of resignation, and said flatly, "No idea. I never really pay attention to luxury prices. Right now, my mind was spinning from this out-of-nowhere gift." Then, like something clicked, I asked Wen Jinran, "Wait, a delivery guy brought this? You didn't see anyone?" Wen Jinran and the other roommate, Ji Chengyu, exchanged a glance and shook their heads. Ji Chengyu kept toweling off his wet hair and explained, "All I know is the delivery guy dropped it at the front desk. The dorm lady saw us coming back and asked us to bring it up." I nodded and said quietly, "All right, I'm gonna step out for a sec." With that, I grabbed the stuffed animal and headed out. I walked up to the trash cans outside the dorm and casually scanned the area. My eyes landed on a red sports car parked a few dozen meters away. The model and the license plate, I knew immediately it was Gu Qinghan's car. I squinted, and a smirk crept onto my face. I found this honestly a little pathetic. So what was this supposed to mean? Did she actually take it seriously when I said give it a shot? Is she really coming after me now? And what about Chen Zi? Has he already left the country? Because let's be real, the only time Gu Qinghan would go find a stand-in is when Chen Zi's gone. Standing in the hazy night, I let out a mocking laugh. Then, without a second thought, I tossed the stuffed animal into the trash like it was nothing. Clean, no hesitation, no looking back. Across the way, Gu Qinghan was sitting in her car. She'd been watching since I came back out, eyes locked on me the whole time. She watched Su Xiaowei walk me to the dorm, the two of us exchange a few words, then Su Xiaowei leave. Then she watched me carry her gift, step by step, toward the trash. The disbelief on her face was real. She stared as I treated her stuffed animal like it was just some annoying piece of garbage and threw it right in the bin. When I left, I didn't even bother looking back. Gu Qinghan felt like he'd just taken a punch straight to the chest, a kind of defeat he'd never felt before. No way, there's no way. His lips trembled slightly as he muttered under his breath. Wasn't that Kunlun plushie his favorite thing? He frantically grabbed his phone, fingers shaking as he typed out a message to me. Why did you move into the dorms? Wasn't living at my place good enough? He desperately needed an answer. He had to know why I was acting so different all of a sudden. But the second he hit send, a little red exclamation mark popped right up. Gu Qinghan stared at that symbol on the screen and just froze. I'd actually deleted him. He wasn't even on my contacts anymore. That hit him like a lightning bolt. He just sat there in the driver's seat, completely zoned out. Anger, confusion, loss, everything tangled together all at once, making his head spin. Ever since Lady Gu drugged Chen Zi, Gu Qinghan had barely been going back to the family estate. He used to go back because he kind of missed me, even if he couldn't really explain why he kept finding reasons to be around me. But after 5 years together, he was just used to me being there for him. And honestly, those 5 years made him subconsciously treat me like I belonged to him. He was used to having total control over everything in my life. But now I was slipping out of his grip, and that was driving him crazy. In his past life, Gu Qinghan suffered badly from migraines. Every time one hit, the pain was unbearable, like a sharp spike being drilled around inside his skull. But back then, I always carefully mixed a special incense blend just for him. Once it was lit and the smoke drifted through the room, all Gu Qinghan had to do was breathe it in, and he'd drift off to sleep within minutes. And somehow, every single time he woke up, the migraine was just gone. Now that he'd been reborn, his migraines hadn't gotten as bad as before. But lately, between all the stress keeping him up at night and the whole mess with Chen Zi, the symptoms were already starting to creep back. Gu Qinghan frowned hard, digging through his memories to recall the name of the incense blend I used to make for him. After a moment, he pulled out his phone, typed out the name, and sent it to the butler, with strict instructions to find a perfumer and get it made ASAP. After hitting send, he finally pushed open the car door and headed inside, back to the home he shared with Chen Zi. Chen Zi had already moved in by this point, living together with Gu Qinghan in that spacious high-rise in the city center. The moment Gu Qinghan pushed open the front door, Chen Zhou, who'd been totally absorbed looking at photos, heard the sound and panicked like a kid caught stealing. He shoved his phone away in a flash, jumped to his feet, and plastered on a smile. Qinghan, you're back. Gu Qinghan's mind was still a mess. He didn't even notice Chen Zi's little act. He gave a slow, heavy nod. It's this late. How come you're still up? He glanced at the clock on the wall. It was almost midnight. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the street was dead quiet. No pedestrians, barely any cars passing by. The whole world felt like it had gone to sleep, leaving nothing but that empty road stretching out under the dim yellow streetlights. Gu Qinghan's eyes lingered on the road outside, and his mind drifted back to his past life. It was on that very road that I'd been slammed by a speeding car. Something about it nagged at him. This street barely had any traffic on a normal day. So how was it that at the exact moment I walked by, a car came flying out of nowhere? Gu Qinghan walked to the window, leaned slightly forward, and stared down at the road below. Chen Zai watched him, feeling uneasy. He had no idea what was going on in Gu Qinghan's head. He quietly tiptoed over and wrapped his arms around Gu Qinghan's waist. Qinghan, you've been off lately. Is it because of me? I'm sorry, I really didn't want any of this. Gu Qinghan pulled his gaze away from the window. The migraine was hitting harder now, like an invisible hand squeezing his head. He instinctively pulled Chen Zi closer. It's not your fault, AZ, it's on me. I haven't been taking good enough care of you. But even as he said it, his eyes drifted back to the road outside. His mind filled with the sound of screeching brakes and the sickening crack of a suitcase being smashed apart. He still remembered it vividly, the blue Kunlun plushie's tail peeking out from the shattered suitcase. That plushie used to be Mu Chen's most precious thing. Even when they broke up in his past life, Mu Chen left everything behind, except for that plushie. So why, in this life, had Mu Chen thrown it away without a second thought? Qinghan, Qinghan. Chenzo noticed Gu Qinghan had checked out again and softly called his name. That snapped him back. What is it? Chenzo looked him over carefully, concern written all over his face, then gave him a gentle smile. It's getting late, go shower. You need to rest, you've got class tomorrow. Gu Qinghan quietly nodded, let go of Chen Zi and headed off to the bathroom. Chenzo settled back onto the couch. He took out his phone again and tapped open a private album. The photo that came up was from back when he was in middle school, a shot from an international summer camp, him and a girl from his group. In the photo, he was beaming, eyes bright, full of that youthful energy. He'd kept this photo safe for years, never once bringing himself to delete it. He ran his finger gently across the screen, like he was touching something fragile from a long time ago. Then suddenly, a shadow crossed his eyes. He thought about what Lady Gu had done to him, and his hand drifted down to his stomach without thinking. The softness in his gaze vanished, replaced by something cold and sharp. A few days later, I was sitting with Shen Haochuan in a corner of the cafeteria having lunch. He was happily chowing down when something seemed to pop into his head, and he turned to me. "Oh yeah, Mu Chen, our class is doing a team-building thing with the agriculture school next door in a few days. You want to come?" His eyes were practically sparkling. I paused mid-bite, a little confused. I mean, since when does the literature school team up with the agriculture school for stuff like this? I took a sip of my soup and had another bite of noodles before asking, "Why are we suddenly doing something with the agriculture school? Is it just them or are other schools coming too?" The engineering university Chenze went to wasn't far from a university at all. The last thing I wanted was to run into him or Gu Qinghan. If this turned into some big multi-school thing, the chances of that happening would shoot way up. Shen Haoxuan shook his head with a little grin. "Oh, you don't know the tea? There's a senior from the agriculture school who's been chasing a guy in our class. She's the one who put this whole thing together." He had that excited gossip energy in his voice. My eyes went wide. He looked a little surprised. "Wait, they just went along with it that easily? Nobody's gonna push back on this? I mean, for a cross-college group trip like this, I figured there'd be at least a few people with objections." Shen Haoxuan just waved it off like it was nothing and said, "Dude, what's there to push back on? Everyone's literally jumping to sign up." As he said that, he swiped through his phone like a pro, pulled up a photo, then shoved the screen right in my face. He gave me this mysterious little smirk and went, "So, pretty, right?" I took one look and my eyes went wide. It just slipped out. "Wait, isn't that Senior Su?" The girl in that photo was Su Xiaowei, no question about it. I recognized her instantly. The second Shen Haoxuan heard that, he lit up. "Bro, you actually know Su Xiaowei?" Then he just kept going, basically talking to himself. "Actually, yeah, makes sense. Senior Su is a pretty well-known content creator. She's almost at like 10 million followers across platforms. Of course you'd know her." I just stood there staring at Shen Haoxuan, completely floored. I had no idea Su Xiaowei had that kind of presence online. Senior Su was actually a content creator, and with that many followers too. And I'd been hanging out with Su Xiaowei basically every day without ever noticing. I couldn't hold back the curiosity. I grabbed my phone and asked Shen Haoxuan, "Which platform is she on? What's her username?" Shen Haoxuan laughed. "She's on every platform. Just search her up. You'll find her. Her handle is literally just Su Xiaowei. Never changed it." Then he leaned in and dropped his voice like he was about to spill some tea. "The whole reason this trip even got this much hype? It's because Su Xiaowei's going. Every single guy lost their mind when they found out. They're all fighting to get a spot, just to see what the campus queen, the girl with millions of followers, actually looks like in real life. Oh, and I already signed you up. You're coming with me, no excuses. I'll be so lonely if you bail." He even reached over and tugged on my sleeve while he said it, giving me the most desperate look. I was already searching for Su Xiaowei's account on my phone, and without really thinking, I nodded and said, "All right, we'll go together." Honestly, hiking was never my thing. I knew my stamina wasn't great, and the whole idea of climbing a mountain sounded exhausting. But the second I heard Su Xiaowei was going, I didn't even think twice. I was in. I found her account pretty quickly. Scrolling through it, most of her content was just daily life stuff as an agriculture student. She'd throw in the occasional science post about plants or insects. But mostly she was just showing people how to grow flowers and vegetables. In the videos, she'd be out in this lush little plot of land with a sun hat on, walking people through plant and insect facts like she was born to do it. But out of tens of thousands of comments, at least half of them clearly weren't there for the educational content. They were just going wild in the comment section. I scrolled through, kind of amused, thinking, someone as wholesome and serious as Senior Su? What would she even think reading these? She'd probably want to crawl under a rock. I couldn't help but smile a little. I screenshotted the page, sent it to Su Xiaowei, and threw in a funny meme to go with it. "Senior, I found you." She replied pretty fast. "How did you even know I had an account?" Seeing my message, Su Xiaowei immediately felt her face get hot. She started this account right when she first got to college, back when she stubbornly chose to study agriculture, and her parents cut off her allowance over it. She figured she could make a little extra money online to get by. To blow up fast, she took her friend's advice and started dressing in more casual, summery outfits. Sometimes she'd even wear JK skirts. You know the ones guys go crazy for. Every single shoot, she'd carefully pick out the most flattering angles, even zooming in on her hands just for that extra touch. So naturally, a lot of her followers got pretty bold. They'd go absolutely wild in the comments every day. Thinking about how I'd just seen all of that, the whole crafted aesthetic plus those comments, she wanted to disappear. She started typing fast, trying to do some serious damage control. I literally don't know what I'm doing, lol. The whole account concept was someone else's idea. The outfits, the poses, all planned by other people. I seriously had no clue. She hit "I had no clue" twice in a row, clearly desperate to keep the whole sweet, no-nonsense senior image alive in my mind. The truth? Every single thing about that account, from day one, the outfit choices, the agricultural content outlines, even the specific hand gestures, was all her own meticulous planning. Su Xiaowei put down her phone, buried her face in her hands, and felt like the whole world was caving in. Back when she didn't care about anyone, she'd mess around with her fans online without a second thought, clapping back in the comments, no filter. But now that she actually liked someone, it felt like she'd stumbled headfirst into the world's most painful public humiliation. Meanwhile, Xiaoyumo had just finished pulling weeds from the peanut patch, straightened up, wiped the sweat off her forehead, and looked over at Su Xiaowei's miserable face. "Seventh sis, you okay? What happened?" Su Xiaowei grabbed her own hair and made a face like she'd just swallowed something awful. "It's kind of a long story." Xiaoyumo kept weeding, barely looking up. "Then give me the short version." Su Xiaowei sighed and said, "Okay, so, imagine you had a thirst trap account on some foreign site, and your crush finds it, and then your crush screenshots it and sends it to you like, OMG, you're so good at this. Like, okay, I'm not actually doing thirst trap content, I'm a legit science channel, but my comment section is absolutely feral, and now I have no idea what he's thinking, and I'm literally dying inside." Xiaoyumo froze. She stopped dead in her tracks and stared at Su Xiaowei in disbelief. After a solid few seconds, she finally managed to stutter out, "Seventh sis, I had no idea you were doing this on the side. Wait, what's your handle? I'm going to follow you right now." And with that, she literally pulled out her phone. Su Xiaowei's face went completely red.